Hurricanes, as you know, talk a good game as well as play one. One of their linebackers, Trump Randy Shannon, instead of the All-American from Nebraska, Broderick Thomas. He's an average linebacker. All our linebackers would make all Big 8.
Yeah, Broderick Thomas is 6'5", 245, and runs the 40 and 4.5. That's a little better than an average linebacker for any football team. He is a big man in their defensive scheme for Nebraska.
Jimmy Johnson, the Miami coach, has been campaigning all week that this game could be for the national championship. He did not look pleased going off the field at the start of pregame warm-ups. This is a very big game, regardless of what happened at the Fiesta Bowl.
Yeah, but Notre Dame certainly shut them out to Jimmy Johnson a few minutes ago.
So tonight, it's Johnson and the Hurricanes against Tom Osborne and the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Osborne looking to avenge that loss 5 years ago. Now let's go back to the Fiesta Bowl to Dick Enberg and Merlin Olsen. Dick? Like this, with Johnny Rodgers of Nebraska.
What a run! He will go all the way! Newman taking the handoff back to Cody for Hurd, and look at the catch! Touchdown! Todd back looking for Newsom. It is intercepted by Barnett. Reggie Barnett. Hughes tries to drag him down, and Barnett goes out of bounds. And there might have gone the last quivering chance for the Crimson Tide from Alabama.
He's getting the throw. There he goes. Touchdown, Huskers, and Nebraska's right back in it. This is for the national championship for Nebraska. Oklahoma, that far away from the national championship. Back to the run go the Sooners, and they break a big one. Off the run is Lydell Cobb, and he is going to go the distance. Lydell Cobb is standing up, and the national championship with certainty now belongs to Coach Switzer and his Sooners. Walsh again is well taken care of. Lofting the ball. Irvin is open. Touchdown, Miami. And next, as Championship Monday continues on NBC Sports, the Miami Hurricanes come back for an Orange Bowl encore tonight. In the 55th Orange Bowl Classic, it is the Hurricanes of Miami against the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Big night at the 55th Orange Bowl, where weather conditions are perfect, as Miami and Nebraska meet for the first time in 5 years since they last met for the national championship in January of 1984. Good evening, everyone. Don Crickey with Bob Trumpy. Two great offenses match tonight, but they do it different ways. Miami has become almost exclusively a passing team. Nebraska runs the ball, then runs it more and more. And when you look at Miami, Trump, you have to look at their All-American quarterback, Steve Walsh. He's a great one.
He's an absolute dandy. He's thrown 29 touchdown passes this year, been sacked just 4 times. They try to get the ball almost exclusively to Cleveland Gary, running back out of the backfield. They've basically taken the playbook of the Miami Dolphins, adapted it to their football team, and this is one of the most sophisticated passing games you can find in college football.
Power and execution, the key to Nebraska's offense. They're the #1 rushing team in the country. Average over 380 yards a game, running the ball over 6 yards a carry. And the key guy is Steve Taylor, their quarterback. He has to have big plays for Nebraska to win.
No doubt about it. He's their leading touchdown scorer with 13. This is the biggest worry Jimmy Johnson and his defense has. How are they going to contain Steve Taylor? He takes a busted play, turns it into 80 yards. This is a big play offense. This is a quick strike offense that Miami must deal with tonight.
There's not a lot of affection between these two teams. For more on that and the mood of the game, let's go to the sidelines and to Jim Gray. Jim?
Don, I had the opportunity to visit both locker rooms. The mood of the Miami locker room, very surprisingly, is upbeat. A lot of guys joking around, having a good time. I talked to Jimmy Johnson. He said his team knows the result of the Fiesta Bowl. They're not going to worry about it. They're not going to emphasize it. They're just going to go ahead and play. On the Nebraska side, very quiet and subdued, very businesslike. Tom Osborne said that's just how he wants it. Let's get emotional when we're on the field, not in the locker room. Let's go back upstairs to you, Don.
And we're set to go as Coach Johnson looks down on the sidelines. Miami has toss, and they'll receive to start the game. As Tom Osborne, his counterpart, Brennan, kicks it off. And coming downfield, the ball goes. Is taken there by Spencer. Darrell Spencer running it back, gets across the 20 to about the 23-yard line. And there, the Hurricanes go on offense, 1st and 10. To give you an idea how productive they are throwing it, this year the Redskins led the NFL with 33 touchdown passes in 16 games. Steve Walsh in Miami and his backup have combined for 35 touchdown passes in just 11 games. Walsh has thrown for 29. Cleveland Gary's his top receiver, 57 catches this year. Dawkins and Hill, the wideout, their top receiver. Andre Brown was suspended for this game. No reason was given. Swing pass. Cleveland Gary. Nebraska had a shot at him on 1st down. Gary breaks the cross and gets to about the 26-yard line. With a nose tackle, Lawrence Pete ran him down for the Huskers. Cleveland Gary, a transfer from Georgia. There is the front three of Nebraska. Pete's had a big year. Kent Wells, the pro scouts think could be a first-rounder a year hence. He's a junior. Roderick Thomas is the key. He'll be a top 5 pick in the NFL. Consensus All-American. Secondary, seen a lot of balls thrown at him this year. The Big 8 does pass. And Walsh will be pitching a lot tonight. Right now he puts it up on 2nd and 6. An out pattern. Taken down. As Lorenzo Hicks was covering on the play. And Pee Wee Smith, number 18, is the man who received the ball. He's not that small, Pee Wee Trump, 6'1", 180.
He's a receiver that is new to the system, still learning what's going on for the University of Miami, but the Miami offense is a 3- and 5-step drop offense. They try to go with the timing pass. They try very hard just to get the ball out there and hope somebody breaks the tackle. And there you see hand on the face mask, no flag. But it brings up about a 3rd down and 4.
3rd and 4 it is. Miami with split backs. Walsh, well protected, stands in, fires a strike to Chudzinski, his tight end. A sure-handed player from Toledo, Ohio, who was virtually not recruited. Rob Chudzinski's ahead for a gain of 19 yards, and the Hurricanes hit the long pass early.
Don Chudzinski, a big play receiver for Miami on 3rd down. That's his 31st catch of this football season now into 1989. 23 of those 30 catches have gone for 1st down. And one of the things that Miami's going to have to worry about, that defensive front of Nebraska on him after he throws the ball.
Pitch back. Cleveland Gary at 225 takes on tacklers. A 1st and 10 carry, and he crossed midfield. Here's a marker down. As the gain is good for about 2 yards. The big, strong safety for the Huskers, Reggie Cooper, 17, came up to hit him, along with a very fast linebacker, Leroy Etienne. Face mask call from referee Jimmy Harper, and the call is against Nebraska. Tom Osborne.
Doing the run and incidental face mask on the defensive team, 5 yards. It's not a 1st down.
He's been answering Trump questions about going for 2 when he could have tied and won a national championship for 5 years. I think he's heard that question enough.
I think he's going to get another opportunity to play for the national championship, even though this football team of Nebraska has an awful lot of seniors on it. Tom Osborne feels that he has great talent coming up in the next 2 or 3 years at Nebraska.
Both these clubs do. 1st and short now on the penalty. Long ball going for it all as he airs it out, and it's Fryer could not hang on to the interception. Charles Fryer, who's intercepted 4 this year. He is a cousin of Irving Fryer of New England Patriot fame. Darrell Dawkins was the intended receiver.
Even though Miami likes to dink the ball down the field, throw it out in the flat, in order to get respect from the defense, you will see the ball thrown deep. That time, there's another face mask. Now, this one's not called on Miami. That time you see pressure once again. Kent Wells right at the legs of Steve Walsh.
That could be our penalty of the night. Face mask. And so now the Hurricanes in the scoreless game set up 2nd down and 3. Just across midfield. Quick back Leonard Connolly takes it at the Nebraska defense down to the 40, and he appears to have a 1st down. Kent Wells, a 285-pound defensive end, tackled him. There's Steve Taylor warming up, waiting for his chance to come out pitching, although he likes to run more. Nebraska's all-time top touchdown producer. Thrown for 11 this year. He's run for 13 touchdowns. Dawkins goes wide left. Miami, a basic pro set offense out of the I formation now. First and 10. Play fake. Nicely done. And here is a throw and a hard stick put on by Lorenzo Hicks, and he freed the ball from the tight end Chudzinski. Walsh, among other things, Trump's an excellent ball handler. Freezes those backers with the play fake.
But this is rather unusual. This Miami offense is a straight drop-back offense. It's not normal for Miami to go back and use any play action whatsoever. This is the 8th play of this drive now that Miami has had to start the game against Nebraska. They are a move-the-chains offense with Steve Walsh. They don't get sacked much, and when they don't turn the ball over, they are very difficult to beat.
That is the bottom line in Miami. When the Canes don't turn it over, they don't lose. They've won 25 straight in the Orange Bowl. Walsh had a hurry there as the All-American. Game of blitzing. Roderick Thomas blew over the tackle. Crowell was also on the blitz. And Mike Crowell and Thomas got to the quarterback, so Walsh did well just to get rid of the ball. He's only been sacked, Steve Walsh, 4 times this season.
That's an all-out blitz, too. You got Roderick Thomas, Etienne, and Crowell coming in on the quarterback, so you can see that Nebraska already not really known as a blitzing team, trying to put a little added pressure on Steve Walsh in his opening drive. These are very active, very big linebackers for the Nebraska Cornhuskers.
You see a 60% throw. Tremendous touchdown to interception ratio. Very smart. He searches the defense for an opening. And now he could have a delay of game with 12:07 left to go in the first quarter and no score. Miami moving on its opening drive.
The dead ball foul.
Dead ball.
Delay of game.
It's a delay of game indeed, and so the ball Trump has moved back to the 46. That was the 9th play of the drive that they tried to get off.
And you tell that officiating crew is from the Southeast Conference? I'm just
a Dixie in there?
Yeah, I just noticed just a slight accent. Not serious, but just a slight accent on that officiating crew. They are out of the Southeast Conference, as Jimmy Harper is the referee.
And all very good, or they wouldn't be here.
Absolutely.
Third down, 15 to go for Miami. Opening drive. Walsh with a 12-yard drop. Lofts it long. He's got a man, but Leonard Connolly can't get to the ball at the 19-yard line. Walsh is not known as a long-distance passer. Does not have the arm of some of the previous Miami QBs like Kosar or Kelly. More like Kosar.
This is a double wing set by the Miami Hurricanes. They run a lot of different formations. They try very desperately to get single coverage a lot of plays. Hicks was kind of fooled a little bit on it. Conley was open. Walsh just overthrew him a little bit.
Dana Brinson is back deep now. Tim Kalal is the punter in for Miami, standing back at his 40. He lost a very fine punt into the night air of South Florida. Brinson lets hop, and the Hurricanes are down at the 2-yard line. Big-time special teams play. That's Bernard Clark, who was the MVP of last year's Orange Bowl, who downed it.
From now, buy new Michelob Dry. One taste and you'll drink it dry. By Magnavox. Smart products for smart people. Magnavox. Smart. Very smart. And by Federal Express. With worldwide service to over 100 countries.
Piggy with Bob Trumpy, 11:50 to go, first quarter. Nebraska gets the ball for the first time, but they get it deep in their own end after an excellent punt by Kalal. 42-yarder down to the 3. Clark, the I-back, nothing at all. While Nebraska is sensational running the ball, best in the country statistically, Miami is equally tough stopping the run. They give up only 2.2 yards to the rush. They gave up none there. Taylor at quarterback. Carpenter's a blocker. Clark has rushed for 15 yards, and very few people talk about him outside of the Big 8. He's in the same conference with the Heisman Trophy winner, Barry Sanders. Offensive line is always for the Huskers huge. Glazer, 70, the right tackle, could end up a great one. 300 pounds, and he can run, a junior. Second and 10. Hand up. Clark goes wide. Breaks the gap, and he gets out close to the 8-yard line. Rod Carter, a running knockout tackler, comes over from the middle, 91, and made the pop. And That's Farm, the free safety, who's also up on the play.
See those linebackers cheating to the line of scrimmage. 91. Clark there to help in the tackle. Or Carter there to help in the tackle. Clark, a young man who in the first 6 games of the season for Nebraska rushed for 481 yards. And in the last 6, 1,016.
Interesting, he said everybody asked him what the difference was. He said, I stopped worrying about getting hurt. He's had some injury problems. He's a junior, not big, 5'9", 200. Option. On 3rd down and 5. Miami sticks and stops the run as they shut down Taylor on his first carry. Russell Maryland, sophomore defensive tackle from Chicago. Number 67 comes off the field, and so now, Trump, Nebraska's got to punt it from deep in their own end.
And Jimmy Johnson and his team gets an awful lot of attention to their offense, but Jimmy Johnson feels that the front 7 players of his defense are the key to the Miami football program. They can stop their opponent, their offense can beat them.
They stopped him there, 3 downs and out on Nebraska's first possession. No score. Here is a punt hopping downfield. Picking the ball up is Spencer, and Darrell Spencer breaks it for the moment, and he is inside the 35-yard line. Now the Hurricanes, with their second possession, now have very good field position. It's 0-0, but Miami's in position to challenge.
It's almost as if someone once said, just in case people like sunshine and water, we had better make Florida. And we'd better make miles of beautiful beaches, just in case people want to go to them.
For a Big Ten team to come back like that.
We'll be updating all the bowl games of today momentarily, as right now we have Miami with the ball. 1st down and 10. They start after the punt from the Nebraska end zone. And Walsh is caught and dropped. Coming on a blitz was a cornerback, Lorenzo Hicks, number 8. He's a player that Miami has targeted to throw the ball at a lot, but that time he got him with the rush.
That's just the 5th time that Steve Walsh has been sacked in 1988 as you look at the scores of the other bowl games.
Syracuse on NBC Sports earlier with an impressive win over LSU in the Hall of Fame Bowl. UCLA in command throughout and winning the Cotton Bowl over Arkansas. Clemson takes on and beats Oklahoma in the Florida Citrus Bowl. And in the national championship game, Notre Dame prevails over West Virginia 34-21. Irish hold out in front 9-0 or never challenged in the game. Cleveland Gary straight ahead on a 2nd and 16 play, gets down close to the 31-yard line. Gain on the play of about 9 yards.
Don, Nebraska is coming out here with 5 defensive backs. That's why you had that blitz by Hicks on the previous play. Lewis is the 5th defensive back, so Walsh is looking to the underneath. It looks like Broderick Thomas, 89, was the guy who was supposed to be there in coverage. 47, Etienne finally makes the tackle. Let's see if they got, again, they have 5 defensive backs in the ball game.
Walsh is 6'3", 195. He'll wait for the last possible moment to release the ball. All his receivers are always ready because he spreads the ball around. Pitch back Leonard Connolly, the fastest backfield man, loses his hat but keeps on trucking, and Leonard Connolly is inside the 25-yard line, and it appears he might have a first down. He does. Will they spot the ball?
Etienne again on the tackle. He's a guy who has not really been very reliable for Miami this year. Conley, a very, very small player. Around 5'9", weighs close to 170. Etienne grabs him right by the helmet as Conley cuts inside and gets nothing but the helmet.
And so the Miami Hurricanes move on now. 1st down and 10. Scoreless game. Ball at the Nebraska 23-yard line. Pitch back. Fred Highsmith runs the ball and gets to about the line of scrimmage. Fred's almost a pensioner, 27 years old. He was in the United States Air Force before going to Miami.
I would imagine, too, there's no player on the field who loves playing more than Fred Highsmith.
Good player. From Jacksonville, he's a senior, 6'1", 225.
Don, in this situation now, all season long, you see 84 in your picture there, Chudzinski. This is the guy that Steve Walsh likes to go to in these situations where they can throw it to the end zone.
Walsh with a 3-step drop, tip ball, but it's caught anyway. Chudzinski lost it. That could be a live ball. They're ruling it an incomplete pass.
Nebraska is putting great pressure on Steve Walsh. Every time he throws it, he's getting up off the ground. He's now 4 of 9 for 34 yards. Chudzinski He's out there with Blazek, number 23, the academic All-American nickelback. And Walsh really gets hammered. Watch once again. The ball is tipped by Broderick Thomas, 89. Walsh is on his back. Chudzinski almost makes the catch.
Walsh Crump says he likes Chudzinski. He's the only guy that was recruited by fewer schools than I was. Only 3 recruited Walsh. Louisville, Iowa State, and Miami. As an All-American. They won national championship on his back. Here's a throw to Connolly, and he's in. So Walsh, and third down, takes a look and drills it right up the middle, and super fast Leonard Connolly out of the backfield splits the zone defense of Nebraska, and Walsh with a tight spiral is right there for the first touchdown of the game.
Nebraska uses a great deal of double rotation zone. That is, corners up, safeties out, tight ends and running backs running down through the middle of the zone. If they have any foot speed, or if they deke a linebacker somewhere, they're going to be open. Walsh, nice touch on the ball. Conley makes the catch.
Carlos Huerta, the place kicker, and a very good one, redshirt freshman. Puts it up and through. And so the Hurricanes of Miami, who back to boast of their coach Jimmy Johnson, we can score on anybody, maybe a lot, goes up against one of the nation's best defenses and goes up 7-0.
Walsh throws that perfectly right over the outstretched hand of the linebacker. 6 points.
The Mitsubishi.
Down, and there's no one in the middle. Walsh recognizes it immediately, puts it right over Etienne's head. Nice catch. Watch the hit, but he hangs onto the football for the first score.
And he's had problems with fumbles, Leonard Connolly, so he's in. His 5th touchdown of the season, his 27th reception. And Miami, which came in as a 1-touchdown favorite in the local papers, has a 7-0 lead. Dana Brinson, the fastest Husker, breaks it up the middle. Wilson from Valdosta, Georgia, was one of the most recruited high school players when he came out 4 years ago. Hasn't broken one in a long time. And now Steve Taylor comes out. Probably could see him throwing more than he planned to.
Yeah, Don, we almost have to disregard. You look at the Miami defense, they play a 4-3 front, and they too like to play an awful lot of zone, but you can almost disregard that first drive by Nebraska because they're so close to their goal line. Tom Osborne likes to run 4, 5, 6 different formations, see what the defense is going to do.
Hawkins, the right defensive end, 54, is a first-team All-American. We're talking trouble about the front 7. That's the key, and that's Hawkins who levels the quarterback, but he gets it away. But it's ruled out of bounds. Just after Taylor released the ball to Morgan Gregory downfield, Hawkins came from the blind side and steamrolled the quarterback.
You'll notice a tremendous size disparity. Miami defensive line to Nebraska offensive line. But that's true almost every weekend that Miami plays. Now, the way they get around that is quickness. Quickness, you don't need size to succeed. They never line anybody up man on man. They're always looking for gaps and shoulders.
That's a block. An undersized but very fast defense indeed is now to give as Scott Cole might have been a loss on a 2nd down and 10 play. They'll stop the ball back at the Huskers' 31-yard line. Ken Clark carried and didn't ever get a chance to get started. Game clock with 6:30 to play. First quarter, 7-0 Miami.
Rod Carter, that inside linebacker, focusing in on this multiple offense that Nebraska runs when they've got 3 running backs there in the backfield. You've got to stay true to your key. Carter, an excellent tackler. He's up a long yardage situation for Nebraska.
3rd and 13. Taylor doesn't like to drop back, but he's going to have to here as he stands at his 23, eludes the rush, and here's Ravens back on a broken play. But not there as outside linebacker Randy Shannon ran him down.
Interesting defense that time by Miami, Don. You could see man-to-man coverage on the receivers down the field, but the linebackers up front were playing zone. And they're playing zone to make sure that Steve Taylor can't run free through the defense.
Miami gets great speed in their defense by converting players. Most of their down linemen were tight ends or linebackers in high school. Their linebackers were strong safeties or fullbacks in high school. They draft speed or recruit it. There's a punt downfield now, and Darrell Spencer's back, waiting for John Coker's punt. Good coverage by Nebraska, and the knockdown is made at the 34-yard line. A 39-yard punt, just a 3-yard return. Miami would score. scored in his last possession, takes another crack at the Nebraska defense in a moment.
Astronomers tell us there won't be a total eclipse in America until the year 2017. They are very much mistaken. Introducing the Eclipse GS Turbo by Mitsubishi.
Even though Notre Dame laid claim to the national championship with its decisive win today at the Fiesta Bowl, Miami still trumps as they're the best team in the country. They hope to prove it tonight.
Don, I think on the Orange Bowl, I think Miami is the best team in the country.
25 straight.
I think there are very few teams that can come down here in this heat and humidity in Miami at any part in the season and play with Miami. I don't blame them one bit for saying that they're the best team in the country. But unfortunately, there are games that prove otherwise, and Notre Dame did it dramatically this afternoon.
They also beat Miami, albeit by 1 point at Notre Dame. Here is Cleveland Gary getting a swing pass, and the Hurricanes break another big play, throwing the ball. Nebraska, as we mentioned, has seen a lot of passing. Utah State threw 60 times against them. But Utah State wasn't Miami of Florida.
And never will be. 22-1 as a starter. That lone loss, of course, to Notre Dame in South Bend. He is a high percentage passer. Tonight, he's 6 for 11. He does not get sacked. He does not make the big mistake.
They did sack him once, the first time in many games anybody's gotten Steve Walsh. Here is Conley. Last time he had his hands on it, you remember, he was in the end zone. This time, Reggie Cooper, the strong safety, comes up and cuts him down at the 48. No gain, 2nd and 10.
Jimmy Johnson felt he had to run the ball a little bit. After last year's great performance with Mel Bratton as a running back, and then 2 years ago, Alonzo Highsmith, they're stuck this year without a running back, so they've got to just keep defenses honest with running a few draws, a couple of lead plays, but they want to throw it.
Walsh has put the ball up 11 times. He's hit 6. Nice numbers.
70 yards and a touchdown.
Walsh this time tries to go to his tight end, Chudzinski, running that drag pattern underneath the zone. Walsh's greatest strength is he sees everything. Any opening, any weakness in the defense, he'll exploit.
He likes to audible, and so does Miami. The plays come in from the sideline. Gary Stevens is the offensive coordinator, and a lot of times, Steve Walsh, he'll audible just to call his own play, which doesn't please Jimmy Johnson and Gary Stevens an awful lot. Nebraska once again now down with 5 DBs.
One of them's really a linebacker. Troll, he's the guy that got to Walsh earlier. On Lewis. In also as Walsh now takes a look on 3rd down. Long ball downfield. Randall Hill comes down with the ball, but he got it out of bounds. Reggie Cooper, the strong safety, 17, was covering along with Charles Fryer. So very nearly a big hit, but it's a long out for the Hurricanes, and they'll punt it.
Look how close this comes to being a reception. You see Cooper coming over there on the side. Look, he catches the ball. If he had just caught it in bounds, that would have been a heck of a catch. That's a catch for the highlight reel right there.
Tim Kalal in to punt the ball. Standing back. They take it. Up back gets it. Crum breaks into open field. There's a penalty marker down. They've done that now 5 times this season. It's worked 4. Whenever you see Kalal's arms fly up like it's a bad snap, Maurice Crum, the up back, has got the ball. But the call is against Miami, so it comes back. They usually do it early in the game, too.
And from around midfield, Dana Brinson, the punt returner, is the guy who makes the tackle. This is a good job of faking everything. This Miami football team is complete.
Good run on the line of scrimmage, holding on the offensive line.
Brinson makes the tackle, and it's all called back. So now Kalel will punt for sure.
So Crum, who is Miami's best linebacker and also loves to get the ball, as he did just there, has a 29-yard gain wiped out by the call against one of his linemen. And Kalal now stands back inside his 25 on a 4th and 20 play. Dana Brinson's back deep. Richard Bell is back with him. High punt. Gonna let it bounce. Takes a big Miami roll inside the 20. And down to the 14-yard line. Roland Smith downs the ball, so Kalau does his job very well with 4:08 to play in the first quarter, a 48-yard punt. As Coach Johnson faces that sideline, 7-0 Hurricanes. Hurricanes lead Nebraska 7-0. As we look at Met Blimp, piloting the airship for tonight's game is Corky Bellinger from Mesquite, Texas. The 193-foot MetLife Blimp is based in Kissimmee, Florida. The MetLife Blimp will also be seen at the Super Bowl and at the 1989 All-Star Game for NBC Sports.
And it's pretty easy to understand why Nebraska's having troubles here. They've won 6 plays and gained 5 yards so far tonight.
Looked like the man was offside, Bobby Harden, but there's no flag. He timed it perfectly for Miami, and they run down the running play to the near side. Now there is a marker down. The man who helped Miami win the national championship a year ago in their victory over Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl was Michael Irvin. He caught a touchdown pass, and he's with Jim Gray now. Jim?
Thank you, Don. Michael, you're very, very nervous down here. You're sweating profusely. Why?
Yeah, I am nervous for my boys out there. I watch them practice, and they want this game. It's a really emotional game. It's a lot like last year, championship game, you know. We know Notre Dame won everything, but my boys, you know, they're winners, and they want to win, and they're out there to win.
You're with the Cowboys now. You had a tough rookie year. Not you personally, but the team. What about playing with Troy Aikman next year?
Well, me personally had a tough year. When you come out and we lose like we lost this year, it's always a tough year in everything for us. But so we just got to go out on. We're happy to be, if we're going to get Troy Aikman, we'll be happy for it.
Let's go back upstairs to Don.
Thank you, Jim. They go to Brian Carpenter, the upback on a run. Michael Irvin got some of those cowboy dollars around his neck there.
He's one of 17 players that Miami sent to the NFL last year. As you look at Nebraska's field position has been awful so far tonight. Yeah, Irvin, 12 drafted, I think, and 5 who signed. They were a talented team last year.
Play penalty call against Miami gives Nebraska first down, 1st and 10. Here's the roll out by Taylor. And those very fast linebackers, Maurice Crum, who's the fastest of the lot, runs him down. So Steve Taylor has yet to turn the corner on the Hurricane defense.
The Cornhuskers had 4 wide receivers in the ball game and still go with the run. This Crum is a surprising player, just a sophomore. And he has so impressed everybody that they had some injuries early in the year, and they couldn't get this guy out of the lineup. He's not big, 6 foot 220, but he's always around the football.
The same high school that produced Net Dwight Gooden. I say sophomore, though. Virtually every Miami player is a redshirt. His 3rd year. Taylor gets time, quickly runs out of it, throws off his back foot, and the man is out there, but Bubba McDowell covers nicely, the right cornerback 48. We see that Taylor, who's also a standout baseball player, has a long-distance delivery if he needs to.
Yeah,
Throwing off his back foot, he put it 60 yards.
Morgan Gregory was the intended receiver again on a busted play. Steve Taylor tries to make a big play out of absolutely nothing, and that's Jimmy Johnson's biggest fear. And frankly, that's what Tom Osborne and his staff rely on a great deal. Taking something ugly and making it beautiful. Demonstrative offensive line coach of the Miami Hurricanes.
They're down to 11, comes up now for Nebraska as Taylor runs out of trouble. He's back in more. Here's another long ball. Very nearly a connection at the 28-yard line, but this does not augur well for Nebraska, as their coach, Dr. Tom Osborne, said before the game from, if we have to pass a lot, we're in trouble, and they're passing a lot right now.
Yeah, he said if we got to throw it 40 times, we have no chance. Taylor has yet to complete one, and they have 2 yards rushing on 3 carries. You hate to see it, but that's almost a catch. I mean, Taylor rolls right, sets up, and heaves that thing about 50 yards down the field, right on target. But Coker punts for the 3rd time, something Nebraska's simply not used to.
No, they don't punt a lot. They go for it a lot on 4th down. They've gone for it 51 times in the regular season on 4th down. Almost blocked. An inch away. Robert Bailey almost had it as they let it roll, and it'll Karam roll down pretty close to the 33-yard line. And there the Hurricanes go again. A 42-yard punt with, again, no return by Croker. 78 clear here in Miami, Florida. I don't know what it'll be like, Trump, in your adopted hometown of Cincinnati, but it'll be a big day Sunday as the Bills and the Bengals go at it in the AFC Championship game. NFL Live at 12 noon. Earlier this season at Cincinnati, the Bengals beat the Bills rather soundly, 35-21. Jim Kelly said he doesn't think it's going to be that way this time. We'll see on Sunday. Right now, they're going to the run is Shannon Crowell. And Crowell takes it ahead, knocked down by Cooper.
Most teams in the Big Eight try to avoid Broderick Thomas, the All-American linebacker, at all costs. But Miami runs right at Broderick Thomas. And look at him, 89. Good job down at his legs. An excellent job of blocking by Fred Highsmith. And he gets Broderick Thomas's hands down. And then Cooper comes in for the tackle. Nice 7-yard pickup.
Second and 3. Crowell takes a hard stick. Coming on hard was the nose tackle, Lawrence Pete, and the outside backer, Jeff Mills, number 42. So 3rd down and 3 arises now for the Hurricanes, who lead the game 7-0 on a touchdown pass. First quarter, we're still in it with 1:04 to play. Steve Walsh to Leonard Conley. Speed goes in the left flank now. Randall Hill is out there, one of the fastest Hurricanes at the top of your screen. 3rd and a long 3. Walsh stands in. Drills almost picked off. Maybe it was. Let's see what the ruling now. They say that Reggie Cooper, the strong safety, got it on the 1 hop.
This defensive backfield in Nebraska, the 4 starters and plays like the nickelback. They've produced 13 interceptions for Nebraska. And this is one of the rare bad throws by Walsh, but he was hurried once again. Nebraska continues to get great pressure on Steve Walsh, and that's certainly something that this offense of Steve Walsh has not seen a lot in 1988.
Well, we should go to the replay here, Trump. Your favorite device.
I think it'll be very nice to do this game tonight without ever referring to the replay again.
Well, it's also changed some errant calls. The right team won. But we don't have it tonight at the Orange Bowl, nor do they have it at all in college football, nor do we have overtime, although they do in Division II in college football. And a lot of people would like to see it come to Division I. And they do it in an interesting way. If the game is tied, flip a coin, and one team starts at the opponent's 25-yard line in college Division II and gets 4 plays. They score a touchdown or a field goal. If they don't do anything, the other team gets it at their 25 and gets 4 plays. They keep going until somebody wins. It's not first score, it's over.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm interested in that, though. I'm really not. And I don't imagine you find a lot of coaches who are interested in it. I mean, there's already this tremendous controversy and conversation about the 2-point conversion and those who did do it and those who didn't do it. See Tom Osborne there on the sideline cannot be happy with the performance so far of his offense or defense, and on that particular punt return there was a great deal of confusion. They had to call a timeout to get the right people on the field. So far Nebraska's head's not really in the game yet.
Well, they had the punt defense team rather than the punt return team. Ball's hit high by Kalau. Richard Bell fair catches the ball at the 31-yard line. It does prevent ties, though. 30-yard punt. That's what Lou Holt said about ties. A tie is like kissing your sister, but that's better than kissing your brother.
Steve Walsh on the phone on the sideline now. Nebraska must get a drive going here. They've had 3 carries for 2 yards, and this is a team that we documented coming into the ball game averaged 382 yards rushing per game. This team has scored 47 rushing touchdowns out of their total of 64. They're going to now present themselves here and carry their load.
First down and 10 for Nebraska. Huskers down by 7. Pitch back to their best, Ken Clark. And he has got nothing at all so far tonight. As the very fast Hurricane defenders keep running him down before he can turn the corner. The same has been true for the quarterback, Steve Taylor, unable to turn it upfield.
Now, this is not a penetrating defensive line of the Miami Dolphins, the Miami Hurricanes. It is, well, it's almost true of the Miami Dolphins, too, but it's a pursuit defensive line. You see Milliken, the tight end, Dawkins does a great job of getting off the block, and look at the shirts there. 4, 5 Miami Hurricanes there to make the tackle as the quarter ends.
The Hurricanes lead at 7-0. Their defense, though, has set the tempo. Nebraska, the #1 rushing team in the country, with 10 yards rushing in the first quarter, none passing. Nebraska averaging over 380 yards a game running the ball. And 2nd and 11. Here comes the blitz. They try to screen it off. It was picked off. It appeared on the one half of the official. Looks like he's going to let it go as a live play.
They still didn't get any yards. That ball looked like it bounced. Again, Miami with great pressure. They're finally saying now it's an incomplete pass. That's now 4 possessions for Nebraska without a first down, with 1 first down. Yeah, that ball skipped, no question about that. Out there to Clark. You saw the great pressure by the Miami Hurricanes defensive front.
They can put it on, the pressure. Miami has set a team record this season with 50 sacks in the regular season. Those come from the defensive ends and the linebacker Crum. Taylor in trouble as, again, running for his life. Nothing there. He's got to eat the ball. The Hurricane defense controls this game. Nebraska is without offense so far. We're at the 55th Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida on NBC Sports with the Hurricanes of Miami, who came into the game ranked #2 in America, meeting the Nebraska Cornhuskers for the first time in 5 years. The last time they played it was in the Orange Bowl, January 1, 1984. And that night, in a major upset, Miami upset Nebraska, then #1 in the country, and averaging 52 points a game, 31-30 to win its first national championship. Canes have gone on to win 2 national championships in the last 4 years. Coker punts as he again is hurried. And the ball will roll to a halt at about the 37-yard line of the Canes, a 34-yard punt. Here comes the Miami offense again from.
Don, that's now 4 possessions for Nebraska, 1 first down.
So Coach Johnson continues to pace the sidelines, but likes the numbers. We'll be selecting the outstanding players from each team. Budweiser will donate a total of $2,000 to SAD, Students Against Driving Drunk. 13:42 to go in the first half. The Canes, who've not been beaten in their last 25 games on this their home field, although through a twist of fate, they're the visiting team officially tonight. They gave the host team. You know that from the crowd noise as the pitchback goes to Crowell, and he runs upfield and breaks it ahead for a gain of 14 yards. And a Miami first down. He's out to midfield.
13 yards on the carry. Jackson finally makes the tackle, and they capture the corner. Actually, Don, I'm rather surprised that Miami is making this look as easy as it is. Highsmith, 31, is the lead blocker there, and well, he's 7 or 8 yards down the field before you see anybody from Nebraska. Ends up being 13 yards on the game.
Crowell getting a lot more work tonight. On 1st and 10, play fake. And Walsh chose to throw it away. The swing man was covered, and so were the people downfield, and the rush was coming.
Yeah, that was a busted play all the way.
Pete Trump, as you know, is the focal point of a lot of interest here. Steve Walsh is a redshirt junior. He'll graduate in May. You see what his numbers were against Notre Dame. Record numbers throwing the ball against the Irish. And Steve Walsh will be eligible for the NFL draft if he so chooses. A lot of people think if he so chooses, he'd be the 2nd quarterback pick in the first round after Aikman.
Yeah, Miami has had, Kozar played 2 years, Testaverde played 2 years, and now this is Walsh's 2nd year. They have a habit of getting 2-year production out of these quarterbacks, and then they go to the NFL. They can all play, too, can't they?
Erickson, the backup, is terrific, too. Here's a pickoff. Pryor intercepts the ball. Lorenzo hits. They're going to give it to it is Pryor, indeed. Charles Pryor picks it up just off the ground as Walsh tried to gun it in low on a slant pattern.
Well, so far, Charlie McBride's group, defensive coordinator in Nebraska, has done their job, holding Miami to just 7 points. You can see the 5 defensive backs sitting back there, and Walsh kind of throws before he's ready. There's 3 of them. Jackson, Pryor makes the interception. Hicks is standing right there. There's an awful lot of people back there in that defensive backfield now for Nebraska. And again, Miami's going to have to run a little bit to get some respect from that defense.
But Nebraska's offense is going to have to move the ball a little bit to get any respect from the Miami defense as they now go to the run and power it straight ahead. An All-American center, Jake Young, fired out. The Huskers huge up front as always. They go two tight end offense 40% of the time and run the power game, but Miami's quickness has beaten the block so far.
Tom Osborne is totally in charge of the Nebraska offense. Totally. It's his by design. He's the one that sculpts it. He patterns it for every opponent that they play, and it's just a matter of repetition. They do not have a lot of plays, but they run it from a lot of different formations.
Second down and 2. Nebraska trailing 7-0 second quarter. 12:20 to play in it. Intercepted by Miami. Maurice Crum picks off a tip ball.
That ball was intended for Knox. Tyrese Knox.
So the Hurricanes get intercepted, and 2 plays later they get it right back. It's Maurice Crum, the blitzer and best tackler, gets a tip ball for Miami.
You see Taylor, he's just staring out there. It bounces right off of his hand, Knox's hand. Wow. That's a nice reaction by Maurice Crum. He's been in a lot of places and a lot of big plays so far.
That's Steve Taylor's first pass that was caught, unfortunately, by the wrong team. Unfortunately for him, he's 0 for 4 throwing it with 1 interception.
Crum again around the ball, and Miami has it back.
Walsh, deep drop. Here comes the rush. Broderick Thomas got to him, but a moment too late. Now they ruled the receiver did not have a foot in bounds. Walsh is paying as this Broderick Thomas is calling on every throw when he takes the deep drop. You look at here's the Rose Bowl final. Michigan rallying from behind to beat Southern California. Florida State in command over Auburn. Syracuse defeated LSU in the Hall of Fame Bowl. UCLA over Arkansas in the Cotton Bowl. Oklahoma fell to Clemson 13-6. The Tigers winning at the Florida Citrus Bowl and the Fiesta Bowl. Top-ranked Notre Dame completed a perfect season 12-0 with a decisive victory 34-21.
John Walsh has cooled off here. He's missed his last 5 passes.
Handoff now goes, and Conley, who's run well when he's had the ball. You remember that touchdown reception from 22 yards out. Gets the carry on 2nd and 10 for a 9-yard gain.
He's assisted by Leroy Etienne.
One thing that Nebraska has done throughout the night is get a lot of pressure on him. That's Broderick Thomas, 89, from behind him to hold of Walsh's face mask. Interesting to note that John O'Neill, the offensive tackle, number 75, is facing Broderick Thomas, is not allowed a sack in 1988. Thomas, that outside pass rush is really getting in Walsh's face and on his back all over the place.
33, Broderick Thomas. His uncle is Mike Singletary, the Chicago Bears, the NFC Defensive Player of the Year.
That's on the defense unless they were thrown out. I don't believe they were.
Broderick Thomas's mother is Mike Singletary's older sister, and he talks to Mike Singletary at least once a week. He's his idol with good reason.
Violation neutral zone. Defensive team offside, 5 yards.
They put Thomas down as a pass rusher at 6'4 1/2, maybe 5, 245, and about 4'5 in the 40. You've got to commit a big man to him. That is an offensive lineman. You can't expect a running back to try to block Broderick Thomas. In the Big 8, they avoid him like the plague. I mean, they run away from him. They run formations to get him out of the pass rush. He is a real dominant factor in the Big 8.
Broderick Thomas, Osborne calls him the best we've ever had at linebacker at Nebraska. 7-0 Miami. They scored in the first quarter on a Walsh pass as he gets set to throw on 1st and 10. A strike. Leonard Connolly lost the handle but got it back. On a one hop, he picked up 4 more yards and got a first down. A 14-yard gain.
Hicks was the man in coverage again. Nebraska with good pressure this time. You see blitzing from the outside, but Walsh is looking for that intermediate route. That 5-step drop. Conley catches it. The ball is stripped away. The ball is definitely bouncing Miami's way so far. Watch this one. Come back here. Yo-yo right there, and we'll pick up another 4 yards. First down.
The Hurricanes now go 1st and 10 from the 24 of Nebraska. Play fake. End zone ball. Shevzinski. He's got it down to the 4-yard line. velvet passing touch of Steve Walsh as he floats it in right where it had to be to Rob Chudzinski. And the Canes now go first and goal from the 4-yard line of the Huskers.
And once again, Miami's doing a great job of getting these guys out of here, knowing that this spot is open. It's the tight ends and running backs that are getting the ball. And again, Walsh identifies it perfectly. They're held at the line of scrimmage, then go out. And there's Chudzinski wide open for the reception.
Walsh has now hit 8 of 19 for 105 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. Double tight ends. Walsh looks again. He likes Chudzinski, but throws high as the coverage was there. Blazek, extra defensive back, was in.
I don't think it takes a genius to figure out when they get down here who they like to throw it to are the two tight ends. Here's Chudzinski. Blazek 23 right there with him. Chudzinski and Bethel are the two tight ends, and they've combined for 10 touchdown passes. They've only caught 46 passes between them completely, so they'll keep looking for him, or Conley, or Cleveland Garrett. Not much to the wideout.
And down and goal, Miami. So the Canes got it back on an interception. They drive on now. Cleveland Garrett down to the 1-yard line. Big play in this drive, that 20-yard lofted throw to Rob Chudzinski that got the first and goal at the 4.
Conley scored 7 rushing touchdowns, but they prefer to throw it. First goal at the 1. Got all the big weapons in there now.
Coach Osborne still chewing, a bit stunned by what he's seen early. It's still 7-0 Canes with 9:46 to go in the first half, but third and goal coming up now for Miami is over the top and thrown back. Cleveland Gary. Send out the kicker.
Huerta comes out, no question whatsoever. Carlos Huerta. Jimmy Johnson will take the 3 points. This is a good push by the Nebraska defensive line, as we mentioned earlier. The offensive line of Miami not big. When it comes down to short yardage situations, they're generally at a tremendous disadvantage.
Huerta. He's been perfect all season, 44 of 44 extra points. And now the field goal is good. 18-yard field goal. He's hit 22 of 25 inside the 49. Redshirt freshman from Miami. And the Canes extend their lead to 10-0 with 8:58 to play in the first half. They'll kick it.
Chrysler believes a luxury car should be a great driving car. At Chrysler, we're driving to be the best. By Gillette and the Gillette Atra Plus shaving system. Gillette, the best a man can get. By Shearson Lehman Hutton, the financial firm for the serious investor. And by Nabisco Brands. At Nabisco, we make products that make friends.
The Orange Bowl, an arena of light tonight on the 55th anniversary of this classic. Nebraska trailed by more than 9 points in only one game in the UCLA game when they were blitzed for 28 first quarter points by the Bruins. Won the rest of the game, but UCLA won at 41-28 the final count. Richard Bell returns the kickoff. Special teams with standout play. Sweep down and knock down Richard Bell, as Coach Osborne has not seen much to be fond of. We go to the sideline and Jim Gray. Jim?
Don, with me right now is Neil Smith. He's with the Kansas City Chiefs, second pick in the draft. Neil, you were with Nebraska. Why are they being totally dominated on both lines of scrimmage right now?
Well, I don't really know. I wish I could tell you, but I know one thing. They're very flat, and they don't look like the same team that they played against Oklahoma when they controlled the line of scrimmage on both sides of the field, and that's like offense and defense. And really, right now, their defensive line, they're just taking control of our offensive line.
Let's go back to the action. Thanks, Neil.
Okay.
8:51 to go. First half, 10-0 Hurricanes. Huskers with the ball. Taylor takes a look. Forced to hesitate, and he's lost.
Bill Hawkins on the sack. Don, you mentioned earlier, 50 sacks this season for this defensive line is an absolutely remarkable stat. These guys are not big, but they are great at running around blocks, and they never stop. That is
are so quick. Even their down linemen can shed the block and make the play on the super quick Nebraska quarterback, Steve Taylor. Russell Maryland and Jimmy Jones converge and get him.
This is a great performance to this point by the Miami defense. As we mentioned earlier, Jimmy Johnson said, we win games when our front seven dominates. Are they dominating this game to this point? I hope to tell you.
That from the outset with 7.5 minutes to go in the first half. Nebraska has to hit a big play. Morgan Gregory, flank right to the lower portion of your screen. And it's got a throw from the end zone. 3rd down and 13 coming up. The crowd noise so intense at the close end of the Orange Bowl.
Don, Nebraska takes a timeout, and all week long down here, they hired a disc jockey. He was playing disco music so that Nebraska could use its audible offense in this stadium. And they've had to take a timeout because of the crowd noise.
Well, Osborne and the Huskers look on from the sideline as their offense has 3rd and 13 coming up. From the 2, Taylor breaks away. Gets it downfield. Morgan Gregory comes down with the ball for a first down at the 47-yard line.
No flag.
Yeah, there is one, Trump, at the 7.
Oh, there is one, yeah. I'm looking upfield.
39-yard gain comes back.
Robert Bailey finally makes the tackle.
If it's against Nebraska.
If it's against Nebraska. Here's the call.
Huskers don't seem too pleased about the illegal forward pass.
Cross the line of scrimmage. That's also a loss of down. Well, we have offsetting penalties. He was across the line of scrimmage, and there was also a late hit, a hit to the head. That's by Bubba McDowell, so it's wiped out. And Tom Osborne is considered someone who is very cool and collected on the sideline. I just don't know if they show him enough on television on the sideline, because he'll go.
He's churning
berserk.
So the Huskers have a big moment, but it turns out only to be a footnote in this game, a long out. 39-yard pass play negated. 3rd and 13 again. Taylor takes a look, running for his life. Cleveland, now he gets away for a moment and gets across the 10-yard line and out close to the 13. Russell Maryland has run them down. Boy, 275 pounds. There is speed in the defensive front.
Don, Miami has had great coverage so far tonight. Every one of these sacks or hurries or scrambles by Steve Taylor have been because of outstanding coverage down the field. They're tying on a lot of man-to-man and leaving their underneath people there to watch for Taylor so he can't run, and it's working perfectly.
Nebraska is an Indian name that means flat water. Tonight, Nebraska's flat offense, and the Miami defense has done that as again they put the big rush on the punter. Takes a big Husker roll, though, goes across midfield and down close to the 40-yard line. It's down to the 40-yard line of Duquesne, so Miami will go on offense there after a 47-yard punt. Not a happy time when the only thing you have to cheer about is your punter's work.
Just the key. Looks can be deceiving. This is Chrysler's Crystal Key. The key to everything. It unlocks New Yorker's V6 anti-lock brakes, the most advanced transmission, Ultra Drive, an abundance of rich Corinthian leather.
Duquesne's 40-yard line. Walsh at quarterback. Called rollout. Here comes a blitzer at the end. Went to his head and then moved his arm off. The referee right there said it was all right.
Number 11.
It's clean.
Don, when Nebraska comes to the Orange Bowl, they bring bodies.
175 this year.
There are legions of football players over there. Yes. They had 12 suspended, so there's 12 missing there. I mean, they've got them 4 deep from the 30 to the 30. Most of them probably have nice hands, and some of them are going to be tired and sore.
Right now, it is 2nd down and 10 coming up for Miami. Walsh with a deep drop again over the middle. He goes and makes a connection. Chudzinski As tight end is down to the 42-yard line. On a 2nd down and 10 play, the gain is good for 18 yards. So Chudzinski has 2 big catches tonight, one for 20, and that for 18.
This young man is not very fast, but once again, you can see the zone coverage. He goes right by people. Reggie Cooper, 17, when it just cleared out there. And Walsh does a great job of reading what coverage it is, and these receivers do an even better job of finding the dead spots in the zone.
Many defenders talk Trump about the big problem with Walsh is he throws the ball so many different places. He looks at everybody. Here's a timing pattern and trying to run under it, and unable to is Dale Dawkins. As we mentioned at the outset, the #1 receiver for the Canes, Andre Brown, was suspended for this game for violating team rule. That was all that was spelled out.
There you see the total passing yardage for the most famous Miami Hurricane quarterbacks.
Walsh start their own bank.
Yes, by their own country. Steve Walsh, if he stays next year, is going to be the all-time passing leader. That was an incomplete pass there by Steve Walsh, but he read it correctly. It was an all-out blitz, and he was going for the receiver on the quick drop.
2nd and 10. Back up top. Walsh doesn't like the run and doesn't. He swings it out now. Gets Leonard Conley, who breaks the tackle. 2 and 3, and Leonard Conley might go in. He's going to. Leonard Conley takes it the distance on what might be the play of the season for Miami. 5 people had a shot at him, and he broke them all and took it 42 yards into the end zone.
Great block by Dale Dawkins, the wide receiver, and a spectacular move by Leonard Conley just after he catches it.
Open up a 16-0 lead with 5:49 to play in the first half.
I like his percentages. 3 catches for 2 touchdowns. That'll work. That'll work anywhere.
Conley's not big, 5'9", 170, but you need a net, as you just saw, to get him down. And here's Huerta with the extra point. And the Canes.
He's got a man right on it, and he just fakes him right out of his equipment. And then it's pretty much the rest of the way with the help from Dawkins right there with a nice block. Leonard Conley, there's the nice block right there, and he's down the sideline. That is a spectacular play. Now, see, that's what Miami likes to do. They throw the ball. Let's see if we can see how deep he catches this pass. I bet it's no more than 5 or 6 yards deep. It's a nice scramble by Walsh. That's a 7-yard reception. He turns it into a 42-yard touchdown with great individual athletic skill. That's what the Miami offense is based on.
Great 2nd and 3rd looks. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Michael Weissman. The producer of tonight's game, George Finkel. The director, John Gonzalez. This is Don Criqui with Bob Trumpy at the 55th Orange Bowl in Miami. 5:49 to play in the first half. 17-0. The Hurricanes lead Nebraska.
Nebraska, bad news, has not come from 17 points down this year. So they're in strange territory. Taylor, 0 for 4 with an interception. Nothing is working for the Cornhuskers this evening.
Well, as Coach Osborne said, Trump, we have to pass a lot, we're in trouble, and they have to pass a lot now. Have had to all night. Running it back is Richard Bell, and he's cut down at the 19-yard line. Miami offense, thing of beauty to watch. It's a counter-punching offense. The defense does this, they'll do that. There's the weakness, they'll get it.
Very efficient day by Steve Walsh, now the all-time leader. Tied with Vinny Testaverde. His next one will Sonny Maloney. He's got 30 so far, 31 so far this season.
That's what he had coming into the game, 48. He has 50 career now. With 2 to Conley tonight.
I thought that included his numbers.
Bowl games don't count. Our NBC statistician Elliot Schaub tells us.
Thank you.
I would tell the Miami fans that. They lead 17-0 to the Canes. Bernard Clark makes the stop on Ken Clark. No relation.
Young man in that defensive backfield of the Cornhuskers just looks like he's getting spatted up again. Looks like he's all right. Hope he's all right.
Over the years, Nebraska has had one of the great programs in college football. It's hard to believe that for the last 19 years, they've finished every season in the top 10. 19 straight years in the top 10.
This is their 20th straight bowl appearance. Turner makes the catch, and that's Taylor's first completion, and that wasn't even close to Turner. He had to jump up in the air to make the catch and fall down the only way to make the reception, and it's for very little gain. This offense is just, when this offense works, it's like warheads coming at you. They come at you from everywhere. Tonight, they've got nothing. And look, Steve Taylor goes to Michael Taylor from Michigan, excuse me. Steve Taylor goes to the referee. Reset the clock. Tom Osborne looking for some series, some formation, something they can do, but it basically comes down to a lack of control of the line of scrimmage tonight by Nebraska.
And he's smaller on the defensive and offensive fronts, but so very fast. Now third down and a long one. Pitch back, clock, and he's stuck for a loss. Got him for a 4 or 5 yard loss. Shane Curry, a down lineman, even though he wears number 44, broke through and made the stop.
Oh, they're starting to celebrate.
also on the play, 57.
Starting to celebrate now. Look at that. 11-1. Bernard Clark last year started for George Myra Jr. in the national championship game against Oklahoma, and then basically has been beaten out this year by Maurice Crum, so he doesn't play a lot, but he certainly remembers how to celebrate.
This Miami team's done a lot of celebrating. They're one play from this block. Here is Miami coming up on the ball, and the Canes will take it over at the 10-yard line. Bubba McDowell with his, now that's Bubba McDowell who blocked it, number 48, his 10th career block of a punt. And then it is picked up and recovered by Derek Golden, number 80.
Don, that's the third time they've come very close, and this time they get it. This is, I believe, as overwhelmed as you'll see a Nebraska football team in any year. That wasn't even close. And that's the third time. That's his first block of the season. Croker's first block punt of the season.
So if Miami hasn't already delivered the knockout punch, it could be coming in a moment. First and 10 at the 12-yard line of the Huskers. Throw and a catch. Running with the ball. Dale Dawkins, and he's down at the 6-yard line.
Down on every punt that Nebraska has had, it looks like a guy is coming from some different direction every single time. This time, over McDowell right up through the, looks like the left side of the punt formation, and this is very unusual for Nebraska. Normally they don't make mistakes like this. They are really confused and very much out of their game, and the coaches are doing all the talking they possibly can.
A lot of meetings in that sideline.
It ain't enough.
Leonard Conley looking to go in for a third time. He gets down to about the 4-yard line, and that'll be third and goal. Third and 3 for the first down. They could still get a first down. Leroy Etienne and Reggie Cooper on the tackle for the Huskers. So Leonard Conley, who had a rap on this season as a fumbler, has delivered some very big plays tonight. One of the most spectacular in a long time, a 42-yard touchdown reception, 5-yard pass. The rest was Leonard Conley running through 5 tacklers.
Got a nice block from Dawkins, but you're right, it was mostly Conley.
All the Hurricane wide receivers block and they don't play. Markers go down.
Both sides move. I'm not sure who they'll call it on. The offense generally gets that.
You're talking about Trump, about the Miami being well-schooled and celebrating. This team came within one play of completing 3 straight 11-0 seasons. The 2-point conversion try at Notre Dame that didn't go. They ended this regular season 10-1. They were 11-0 the past 2 regular seasons before that.
And when they lost to Notre Dame earlier this year, they had 7 turnovers. The year before, they lost to Michigan, and they had 5 turnovers. You take away those 12 turnovers, this team is looking at 33 straight wins and 3 national championships.
Got a dead ball, delay a game against the offensive team. The delay was committed before the violation of the neutral zone, so it's a 5-yard penalty against the offense.
You saw that Florida State score. The last 6 years, the Miami Hurricanes have beaten the #1 ranked team in the country in the preseason poll. This year, Florida State was #1 and was blasted by Miami in the opening game for both teams. I think it was 31-0.
Yes, it was. Don, that penalty, I believe, helps Miami. Their passing game runs better at the 15-yard depth.
Walsh in a sprint out, comes back near side. Cleveland Gary looks for blockers, and he's got him, but he slips on the turf and goes down at the 5-yard line. That was a 3rd and 8 play, and there's a marker down appears again.
Pushing and shoving.
There is a penalty marker down at the 2-yard line. The usual Orange Bowl spectacular coming up at halftime. We'll be going to check in with Gail Gardner and Jimmy Cefalo and Don
Not a
Shula.
dead ball after the play was over. Personal foul. White team. Be 4th down.
On today's bowl action, then come back to the Orange Bowl for the biggest halftime in football.
This is a nice screen setup. You see Gary slip out there. That's Kent Wells on the pass rush. But then Gary kind of slips here a little bit. And then I did not see who started what, but there was some pushing and shoving afterwards. And they generally catch the team that retaliates. But nevertheless, the flag against Miami. So it's on for a field goal attempt.
Huskers set 9 men to come. It's on the way, though, and Huerta. Money in the bank. Pops it. And Miami builds its lead to 20-0 with Coach Osborne looking for answers. They're pretty close to going to the bag of tricks, trying to make something work. Richard Bell returns the kickoff for Nebraska. 20-0 Miami with 2:24 to play in the first half.
Now, a comment on Steve Walsh. I hear some people say he's not strong enough yet to play in the NFL, and 1 more year would give him a little more arm strength. I have the greatest respect for Bernie Kosar, and he has the intangibles. Bernie Kosar does. He wins. He's smart. Walsh, I believe, possesses the same intangibles. You don't need a strong arm like John Elway to play in the NFL. If you're good enough, they'll build an offense around you. He's won a national championship. He's one of the few kids I'd say, I want to go in the NFL. Forget the last year. He can buy his own college and go to school in his own time.
Well, a lot of NFL teams are waiting on that decision by Steve Walsh. There's a terrific player behind him, Erickson, who would take over if he did go. Handoff goes up the middle, and Ken Clark finally breaks for some yardage on a 1st and 10 carry. Nebraska is best back, 2nd best in the Big 8 with 1,500 regular season yards and a 6.5 per carry average. Ken Clark gets ahead for a gain of 6.
I think that's the longest rush that Nebraska has had so far tonight. They're now in their 7th possession, still with 1 first down and with 24 total yards.
Second and long 3 where it's spotted. Taylor running from trouble again. Gets it off to his fullback, Brian Carpenter, but he's only going to lose yards.
Oh, they are.
Taylor with a 20-yard drop by the time he got done running around, and his fullback had to come back with it. He'd be better off throwing it out of bounds.
This Hurricane defense, extraordinary. Dave Weinstead is the defensive coordinator, and he's done a great job of looking at this offense and trying to figure out how they make the big plays, and they have taken them away. When you take away Nebraska's big plays, they can't compete.
The draw, go to the throw, downfield, going for the ball is Richard Bell, but he can't get it at the 42-yard line. Taylor's got a live arm.
That was a 50-yard pass with his feet square to the line of scrimmage. You take a look at the coverage that Miami is trying to do here. They realize the ability of Taylor, so they're having those guys just hang there so that if Taylor runs the ball, there's somebody there to make the tackle. That was a very impressive throw. Incompletion, but a very impressive throw. Will they try to block another one?
Probably will. It sure looks like it. They've got 10 men up on the line. Here they come. Oh, they almost got it again, but they did get the punter, and Nebraska keeps the drive alive. Robert Bailey, number 23, was an inch in the ball, but he was full force into the punter, John Croker. And the flag comes down, and Nebraska will get a first down.
Personal foul, roughing the kicker, 15 yards, first down.
You got a Miami player down, too. The punt returner is still down on the ground. That was a certain amount of acting there by the punter, but I don't blame Croper a bit. The punt returner is down on the Nebraska sideline. I like that. You see two
Spencer.
Yeah, you see two Miami trainers on the left and Nebraska trainer on the right. Those trainers and doctors are always looking out for any athlete, not just their athletes.
So Darrell Spencer is attended to. There is a timeout on the field.
Once again, though, Don, Miami with unbelievable field position. That's one of the things that's really hurt Nebraska tonight consistently. And on the plus side for Miami, that's one of the things that's helped them the most. Tom Osborne has to be wondering, wait a minute, what did I get myself into here? I thought this team was ready. This is when the punt was blocked. When the guy ran into the kicker, they did throw the flag, and injury still being taken care of on the sideline.
So what do you do here when you're Coach Tom Osborne? He's got a great program, but it's not a come-from-behind offense that he has, and it only gets worse.
Yeah, they're getting nothing out of no one. No one's really doing anything that he can possibly go on. Here's Taylor breaking away finally.
That's one way to get well. Spring Taylor, at the first and 10 play, he runs it out to the 43-yard line across midfield.
But there is a flag on the play, and Taylor gets up limping. So whatever Nebraska tries to do, they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot here.
The Cornhuskers were lamenting before the game. They have not gotten a lot of respect here in Miami. The Hurricanes talking tough and playing tough. And it's gotten a lot worse since the game started.
Yeah, well, now all of a sudden I think Nebraska is beginning to believe just how good a team Miami is here in the Orange Bowl. They have played extraordinary defense throughout this first half. They've not given Steve Taylor a chance to break away with anything. He got a big run there, and there is an illegal block during the run, so they bring it back. So the penalties and the block punts, nothing's worked for Nebraska. And Taylor limping badly.
37 seconds to go in the first half. Ken Clark straight ahead, gets to about the 31-yard line. That's all. So there's been nothing there all night long for Nebraska's offense. Nothing but 11 defenders, everyone in position, everyone geared to stop everything Coach Osborne and the Huskers try to run. It's interesting that Jimmy Johnson has never beaten Tom Osborne. He's 0-5 against him, but that was in the 5 games he played against him at Oklahoma State. Johnson was the head coach there.
And Johnson didn't have Barry Sanders, did he?
Pickoff. Second intercept. Let's see if it's clean. Rod Carter, the middle linebacker, diving at the ball. On the final play of the half, I think they're going to credit him with an interception. George Johnson, we're number 2.
Those first half numbers are rather startling when you consider that Nebraska came in averaging 382 yards rushing. Rather startling when you consider that Nebraska came in averaging 382 yards rushing per game, minus 2 yards passing tonight. They have 2 first downs in this first half. One of them came by penalty. This is the most dominated, I think, Nebraska's offense has been in years. I spoke to the defensive coordinator of the Miami Hurricanes, Dave Wanstead, at halftime, and I said, what are you doing, something magic? And he said, no, basically what we're doing is committing everything we have to the run and overplaying the pass so that Steve Taylor can't run. It has worked in the first half.
Everything has worked for the Hurricanes. Nebraska normally does most of its passing in the pregame warm-up, so they're going to have to throw the whole second half to get back in this as Dana Brinson runs it back. Crosses the 25 and gets to the 29. Whereas has been the case time and again, a Hurricane puts on a thunderous hit.
Now, Taylor left the first half limping slightly. Seemed to sprain his ankle. The one thing about this Nebraska football team, Don, this season against UCLA, they got absolutely hammered in the first half, kept their cool, came right back out in the second half, and went right back to their game plan.
Straight ahead give, there's not much there as the handoff is to Brian Carpenter, the up back, the fullback out of that power I, double tight ends. Bill Hawkins, the defensive right end, who had a big first half with a couple of smashes of the quarterback, made the play on that one. side now on 2nd down and 5. High back, Clark gets the ball. A little bit there for him as he works his way out to the 38. Another thing, Trump, the Nebraska coaches were pointing out, one of the biggest things they've done, they said Taylor's a guy who makes big plays out of nothing. And so far, we haven't let him do that.
Yeah, nothing. Absolutely nothing. They have committed to the point where Steve Taylor, when he has no one open down the field, cannot turn up the field and really pick up the big game. Now, he's scored 13 touchdowns rushing, has not even run for 5 yards so far tonight.
Third down and a long 2. Clark runs and powers the ball straight ahead. He's going to be short, it appears, of the first down. That'll bring up 4th and about a foot. So Nebraska has a decision early. Let's go to Jim Gray on the sideline. He was a fly on the wall listening to Jimmy Johnson's halftime talk.
I talked to Jimmy when he came out, Don. He said he wants his team to remain intense. He knows that Nebraska has not been shut out since 1973. 173 games ago to Oklahoma. He wants his team to shut him out, and he wants to show the nation just how good his team is.
Right now, we have the Sticks coming out with 13:37 to play in the third quarter. 20-0, Miami in the lead. 4th down and inches, so Coach Johnson looks on, signals out to his defense. Nebraska's gone for it on 4th down all season long. This is the 32nd time they've done it, and they've made it almost 60% of the time. But Miami wasn't lined up across from him. Quarterback Taylor calls his own number and took it to about the 40. It appears he has the first down.
That's about the only real mismatch you're going to see in this football game. When it gets down to 3rd and short and 4th and short, the lack of size on the Miami defensive line, Nebraska should be able to overpower it. But you don't win football games by going for it more than once on 4th down. That's how dominated Nebraska has been.
Taylor on 1st and 10, a called rollout. Here comes the rush, throws back, and he almost gave it up for 6. Maurice Crum had a play on the ball, but started to run before he caught it. He already has 1 interception on a tip ball.
How did he miss it is the question. That was a half roll. It was intended back for Ken Clark. It looked like it was going to be a slight screen. Now watch Maurice Crum. I mean, can it get any better than that? My goodness gracious. And if he catches that, he goes in for 6 points.
So 2nd down and 10 comes up now. Goes into that power set, double tight end offense, the option sprint. And Taylor is cut down before he can pitch the ball. All the good defensive teams like Miami, #1 objective, make the rollout option quarterbacks pitch the ball. Higher offense, high risk. Greg Mark, very good defensive end, 94, shut that down.
Along with Carter, who gets outside. They have done a great job, the Hurricanes, tonight. We documented at the outset of the game that Jimmy Johnson says if our front 7 do it, nobody can beat us. And tonight, their front 7 have played like 14.
It really is like there's extra guys out there. There's just no place to go for
no place. And look, once again, you got 8 guys at the line of scrimmage, Don.
3rd and over 10, out pattern, and Brinson diving for the ball, can't get to it. Now Nebraska has to punt it with 4th down and over 10 to go.
This passing offense of Nebraska is a passing offense that is vertical. It is down the field. You can see that Nebraska, because of the pass rush by Miami, is throwing the ball out in the flat. That is not something they really like to do.
On return it in now, after Spencer was shaken up in the first half, Pee Wee Smith is in.
Oh, he had 1 block punt.
Pee Wee's 6'1", 185, so he did some throwing since he got the nickname. Line drive hit back as Smith backpedals to his 18-yard line. And he's knocked down to the 25-yard line, and that's where Miami will go on offense for the first time in the second half. A 43-yard punt, a 9-yard return.
Someday, every international air express company will have it all. 24-hour customer service, advanced tracking systems, and their own fleet of planes flying to Europe, Canada, and Japan. Touchdown. Just like Federal Express.
All right.
But until then, the others will just have to pretend.
Nice lightning.
Worldwide service from Federal Express.
Volkswagen engineers have spent years refining our front-wheel drive, rack and pinion steering, and four-wheel independent suspension. Because the engineers of Volkswagen believe it's not just how fast you go, but rather how well you go fast. Now, factory-to-dealer incentives on all new Golfs, Jettas, and GTIs may make additional savings.
Jadzinski flexing out to the right side, the tight end who was very effective in the first half. Cleveland Gary, the intended receiver. Etienne was right there to strike him as the ball came in. We'd like to again congratulate the Federal Express Company that tonight was announced by Jim Barker, the president of the 1989 Orange Bowl, as the new sponsor of the Orange Bowl, beginning with the 1990 game.
Now the Miami Hurricanes in the first half had 28 passes and 12 rushes. And what they'd like to do, I think, in the second half is run the ball, but 5-yard dink passes to running backs across the line of scrimmage is basically the way they run it to control the clock.
Deep drop. Now Walsh, mobile, gets it downfield. Randall Hill is picked off. Randall Hill lost his footing, and Cajon Lewis runs it back, and he is back inside the 40-yard line of Miami. So Nebraska's defense delivers its biggest play of the night.
Leonard Conley finally makes the tackle. Randall Hill, that ball was way underthrown. You see Walsh get out of the pocket here. They do not come with a blitz, Nebraska. Walsh gets out of the pocket and then underthrows this ball a lot. When Hill slips, that's a nice, easy interception. Not tough at all for Lewis. And now the best field position of the night for Nebraska.
39-yard return on that front. It's now 1st and 10. It is indeed, as Nebraska's not been in sight of the Miami goal line, and now they break a run. Ken Clark crashes inside the 25-yard line. He's down to the 22. And the 9,000 who followed the Huskers down from the state of Nebraska come up with a big ovation, and a well-deserved one, as Nebraska finally gets big plays. One from the defense, now one from the offense.
You can see the guards pull for Nebraska. They're running the power sweep. That's the longest gain of the night by the Nebraska offense. And Miami knows that you cannot lay down in front of Nebraska. They will come back and get points in a hurry. They did against UCLA.
One of the nation's highest scoring teams with the best running game in the country that's been shut down tonight. As you pointed out, Trump, Nebraska averaged over 6 yards a run this season, 380 plus a game. Miami allowed just over 2 yards a rush, and that's how it stood in the first half. Nebraska had less than 2 yards a rush.
That was Carpenter on the carry. I think the astounding statistic about Nebraska is that they scored 64 touchdowns, 47 rushes. In 12 games, that's 5 a game.
2nd and 10 arises now for the Cornhuskers. They've made their deepest trip into the Miami end, and again the run is shut down. Russell Maryland, number 67, knocked it down. They call him the Conscience. He rooms with 4 other Miami players. Russell, a very diligent student, and when his roommates aren't, he reminds them to stay in and study, so they call him the Conscience.
Yeah, I think this Miami program is... A few guys who wore camouflage uniforms a few years ago gave it a bad reputation, but generally speaking, Jimmy Johnson has turned this program around, not only on the field, but in the classroom.
Big rush. Greg Mark gets him. Undersized, but so quick. Greg Mark, a 240-pound defensive end from Pennsauken, New Jersey, who is a highly recruited high school basketball player. Projected as a college linebacker. They moved into defensive end, and there's the end result. Steve Hills.
That's the 3rd sack of the night by the Miami Hurricanes. They have given Steve Taylor no opportunity. Look at this. We got a field goal attempt. Barrios.
His longest is 48. Greg Barrios. Just to get off the schneid and get on the board. Not bad. He got it. Wow. A 50-yard field goal by Barrios. So Nebraska's on the board with 9:06 to play in the third quarter. It's 20-3.
That's his longest field goal of the season. And for a team that scores as many points, their first score in a 50-yard field goal, that's tough.
There is nothing else like it on Earth, or maybe even in heaven. It stretches for 725 miles, and it's called the California Coastline. There are over 4 million miles of roads in Alamo territory, all across America. And nationwide, Alamo's the only company that can give you all those miles for free, including the ones with...
Well, Nebraska, a team that has not been shut out since 1973, 173 games, finally breaks onto the board with a 50-yard field goal, longest in the career of Greg Barrios, sophomore kicker from Omaha. And now Drennan kicks off. Chris Drennan knocks it downfield, and Randall Hill, one of the fastest Hurricanes, runs it back and gets it across the 25-yard line out to the 26.
After the field goal is made, Barrios, the left footer, he knows he's hit it good enough. A 50-yard field goal attempt, his longest of the season, his longest personally.
And he hit it right towards the open end, towards the Atlantic, where normally we have the winds coming in.
But still, 3 points.
No fog down here. That is perfect.
They've had 8 possessions, and it produces 3 points against Miami.
Well, it's a start. Cleveland Gary tries to go wide, and the Huskers come hitting and get him back at the 22-yard line. First and 10 carry, and there's a 5-yard loss. So the 50-yard field goal apparently ignited the defense as Charles Pryor, Irving's cousin, comes up and makes the play.
Now, this is the one problem that Miami has now in a game where you're in control score-wise and you want to take time off the clock. With the lack of running backs, they really can't consume a great deal of time. Of course, last year they had Mel Bratton until he hurt his knee, and the previous year they had Alonzo Highsmith. They had plenty of running backs. This year, this is a one-dimensional offense, and that is throwing.
How well they do that. 8 minutes and 15 seconds to go. Clock running in the third quarter. Walsh in the flat gets his man. Dale Dawkins comes off the flank, and he's cut down on a 2nd down and 14 play. That'll bring up 3rd down now and about 9. Let's go back to Jim, who's on the sidelines with an Olympic medalist.
That's right, Wendy Leanne Williams. She won a bronze medal in the platform diving. Wendy, has your life changed quite a bit since the Olympics in Seoul?
It's been a whirlwind, but it's been a blast. I've had 3 months off, and I'm ready to go back now.
You're a big Miami fan. You're a junior here, so you're thrilled about your Hurricanes. Are you going to dive again in Barcelona?
I hope so. I have a 1.5 years left of eligibility here at UM, and so I'm going to take a day at a time after that.
Okay, Wendy, thank you very much. Let's go back upstairs.
7:30 to go, third quarter, 20-3, Miami in the lead. Here's a long ball in the flat and over. It's caught by Randall Hill. Pulled a rabbit out of a hat and came down with the ball, and then puts another move on.
20-yard catch. Walsh had to throw it quickly. He was pressured once again. The most difficult reception for any receiver to make is one that when he can't see the quarterback throw the football. Well, you can see the pressure by Etienne. And Hill, well, he just turns his head around. Oh, there it is. Great athletic ability. That ball is thrown behind him, thrown over his head, and he still makes the reception.
He was a defensive back for the Canes last year. Randall Hill, a converted player to wide receiver. Box still runs, 6:55 to go, third quarter. Handoff Leonard Connolly. He's been in the end zone twice tonight. That time he gets hit head on. A hard stick put on him. Coming up to get him was Jeff Mills, a very rangy outside linebacker from Montclair, New Jersey, number 42.
That last catch by Randall Hill, his first of the night. So they have spread it around. Walsh is now 14 of 30 for 200 yards, 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. And still the inability to run the ball makes Miami almost face every offensive down with a pass in mind.
2nd and 9, 3 wide receivers in the game. Lone setback is Cleveland Gary. He stays in to block, picks up the blitz. Here's a throw and a catch, but it's not for much yardage. as Etienne, the inside linebacker, made the play for Nebraska. Chudzinski caught the ball.
Don, this offensive line of Miami is just doing a spectacular job. Let's look at Broderick Thomas. He's on O'Neal, 75. O'Neal is excellent pass protector. Is not allowed a sack this year, and I think you see a certain amount of frustration at Broderick Thomas. Just follow through. He's an All-American player, one of the best that Nebraska's ever had on defense. He has been no factor tonight.
Miami with a 2-to-1 ratio, pass to run, 31 passes, 15 runs. And almost a 7-to-1 ratio in points. They lead 20-3.
Whoop, there he gets him.
That time, Broderick Thomas got through.
That's his first real play of the evening. He bothered Steve Walsh in the first half, but it looks like he's down in the defensive end stance. He gets outside of O'Neal. When Walsh slips, Thomas is right there to, they'll call that a sack, I'm sure.
High punt downfield by Kalau. Big time pop put on there, as coming down to make the hit for Miami was Hurley Brown. 38-yard punt.
Everything. Absolutely everything. That time they tried to, watch what happens. They try to pull a guard. Jimmy Jones jumps right inside the block of Bob Sledge 62, and Taylor doesn't even know he's coming. That's the 4th sack of the night by Miami, and they are monsters in the Orange Bowl.
So again, the Nebraska Cornhuskers with Steve Taylor as quarterback have to work from a deficit. 2nd down and 17. Takes the draw, gets it away. Out in the open is Richard Bell, and he's cut down at the 43-yard line.
What a throw. Taylor's still down. I don't know how he threw that ball.
35-yard strike to Richard Bell, and we're not the Miami corner Donald Ellis so fast. That would have been 6.
Watch what happens. He gets absolutely hammered. As a matter of fact, it looks like he's off the ground when he throws this thing for the 35-yard completion. Just a spectacular performance there by Steve Taylor. Watch again. Puts him right up the middle. It's Russell Maryland who hits him right in the sternum, and he still gets the pass off.
Now they go 1st and 10, straight ahead, and it's a give. Ryan Carpenter, the fullback, gets to about the 46-yard line before Bill Hawkins, the All-American defensive end, got him down.
Don, before that completed pass there for 35 yards, the longest play Nebraska had all evening offensively was a 16-yard run by Ken Clark. This is an offense that is built around the big play, and it had but basically one on offense this evening, and we just saw it.
Taylor, the quarterback, has done a lot of winning. He's 34-5 as a starter for Nebraska. Roll out on 2nd down and 8. Look at that rush. If he gets the ball away somehow, he's not gotten it to his tight end, Milliken, who was going for it there at 43. One of his favorite targets. Miami shut off Milliken.
Steve Taylor, 3 of 13 on the night, 2 interceptions, and hurricanes in his face every time he goes back. Look, there's 4 of them there. He throws that ball totally in desperation. Now you see the tricks in the games. Shannon 22, Crum 49, Carter. That's the 3 linebackers of the 4 out there playing.
They're down and 8 now. Taylor stands in, gets some time, throws a strike. He finally gets Milliken, and his defense is there to cut him down before he can get the 1st down. Making the knockdown at midfield is Maurice Crum.
I think you almost have to go for it here if you're Tom Osborne. He's sending the punting team on the field. 4th down and 3 or 4.
That doesn't necessarily mean he's going to punt, though. Well, we saw Miami pull one.
Yeah, I agree, but I mean, you need some trick plays. Remember the Fumble-Rooski? You need something to get it going and get it going in a hurry here.
I remember it. That was in the 84 game, down 17-0. Nebraska scored when the quarterback, Turner Gill, put the ball on the field intentionally, and All-American guard Gene Steinkuhler picked it up and ran it in for a touchdown. Croker can really pound the ball on his punts. That one goes in, and so it's comes out on a touchback to the 20-yard line. 50-yard punt by Croker with 2:02 to play in the third quarter. 20-3 Miami in the third quarter, and it's become quite apparent if Nebraska's going to get back in this game, they're going to have to do it with big defensive plays because their offense front obviously can't go the long field.
Yeah, Don, I think that's the one chance that Nebraska now has to take. Go with the blitz, try to disrupt Steve Walsh as best they possibly can, get a quick turnover, get the interception, get the points from the defense, because this offense, this average 39 points a game, can't do much at all tonight. And one other point about Miami in the fourth quarter, they've outscored their opponents 108 to 10. So you're not going to beat Miami in the fourth quarter down here in the Orange Bowl.
Walsh on first down, throws to Chudzinski. And the Walsh-Chudzinski non-recruit connection hits again out to the 43-yard line. Walsh recruited by just 3 schools, an All-American. Chudzinski by 1.
22-yard catch. Jackson and Blazek were there on the tackle, and that's almost like a run. Very high percentage, very efficient passing by the Miami Hurricanes and Steve Walsh. Johnson on the sideline enjoying this Orange Bowl, probably not quite as much as he enjoyed last year's Orange Bowl, right?
The national championship after the disappointment of the earlier when he went to Tempe and got beat by Penn State. Talked about the turnovers. They had 5 interceptions in that game. Roderick Thomas put the rush on, and he hit Steve Walsh to the displeasure of the Miami following.
Well, you can see now Nebraska they are coming with the blitz, and they have to. They have no choice. Thomas has that good outside rush. Great foot speed, 4.5 seconds in the 40. Tom Osborne was not particularly happy with Broderick Thomas in previous seasons. Said in big games he played great, other games he'd take off. He said this year he's played in every game, and a real factor. And I repeat, the Big 8 disappoints you. They run the other way.
Second down and 10. The give goes, and weaving his way up the middle is that elusive Leonard Connolly, who's out to the 50. A gain of 8 yards. Talking about Roderick Thomas, I've heard it said, Trump, that he's one of the best linebackers in the country, pro or college, and I heard him say it. He told me he's as good as Lawrence Taylor or Cornelius Bennett. We haven't seen that evidence yet.
That's a pretty strong boast there.
Says he's as good as any of them. I'll tell you one thing, he's a class kid. What he does off the field is tremendous on his own. He lectures at schools on drug abuse. He comes from an area of Houston, Texas, where he's seen a lot of kids he grew up with perish because of drugs. He's a stand-up guy off the field. And on. As right now, Broderick Thomas makes the stop on Leonard Connolly.
Don, there's certainly no question that Broderick Thomas is going to be one of the top picks in the draft when he comes out. There's no question about that at all. Because you can do so many things with him. Pass rushing, defensive end. He's a bigger Cornelius Bennett, who is not a bad player for the Buffalo Bills.
He's hoping Coach Shula, who's in the NBC studios today, will draft him. Like to play for Miami. Maybe he'll line up next to Uncle Mike with the Bears. Mike Singletary's his uncle, as we mentioned.
Walsh now 16 of 33 for the night.
Incomplete on first and 10 as the game clock is down to 19 seconds to play in the third quarter.
This is an offense, this Miami offense, that normally is a very short yardage in the passing, although tonight they have averaged 14 yards per completion. That's better than their season's average.
Now Mark Blazek is back in the secondary. Sergeant Blazek, they call him. An academic All-American. Now he comes out. Blazek is a sergeant in the Nebraska Army National Guard. That does it all. Losing his footing was normally sure-footed Cleveland Gary. It's a grass turf here at the Orange Bowl, one of the best playing fields in the country.
Yeah, and now especially since the Miami Dolphins no longer play here. They play up at Joe Robbie Stadium, so this field is generally kept very, very well. And again, there was good pressure there by Broderick Thomas. They're pretty much turning him loose in this nickel package now that Nebraska has been using. 1, 2, 3, 4. And they got 5 defensive backs in the ball game again. This has worked pretty good for Nebraska so far this evening.
Seventh play of the drive coming up. 3rd down and 10 for Walsh. Here's a blitz. They pick it up, and he goes long. Randall Hill's out there, picked off by Fryer at the 25-yard line. Charles Fryer moving nicely on the ball. He's a 4.4 sprinter in the 40. And he made the play on the ball in the open field, and Steve Walsh with an unusual number of interceptions tonight.
Lawrence Pete and the defensive line of Nebraska. Good pressure up front. Charlie McBride and his group have done a great job. You see him from the outside. There's also Thomas. This ball is slightly underthrown. Fryer there to make the interception. Steve Walsh's 3rd of the evening. But once again, it's the long field for the Nebraska offense, something they've not been able to.
Interception. He's been intercepted 3 times tonight. Twice by cornerback Charles Fryer of Nebraska. Now the Cornhuskers come out 1st and 10 at their 26-yard line.
Davenport, Iowa, the Quad Cities, Channel 6.
A moment ago, Coach Johnson raised the 4 fingers up, signaling his team 4th quarter. Let's go for the final 15. It is a humid night, although not that humid. The temperature's in the 70s. The weather down here has been as good as you could ever get it.
That 4th quarter is a very significant hand in the air. They've outscored their opponents 108 to 10 in the 4th quarter and shut out 9 of their 11 opponents in the 4th quarter.
In the last 9 games, they outscored their opposition 84 to 3 in the final 15 minutes. Jimmy Jones and Hawkins come and bang Brian Carpenter down at the 38-yard line. On the 1st and 10 play, he didn't gain anything.
Don, I think one of the reasons why, as you look at the numbers through 3 quarters, Miami gained just 53 yards in that 3rd quarter, but it's total domination, even though time of possession by Nebraska favors the Cornhuskers.
Football's most useless statistic, time of possession. More losers lead with time of possession than any other area of stats.
All right, speak strongly here. Something you believe in.
It's useless. It doesn't mean anything. Dana Brinson gets a flat pass and is knocked down by Donald Ellis.
Don, the one thing that amazed me about watching the Miami Hurricanes the last 2 years at practice down here for the Orange Bowl is that they condition on every single play. When Jimmy Johnson, when I asked Jimmy Johnson about it, he says, I think my offensive and defensive linemen are skill position athletes. So when a receiver runs 40 yards down the field, so do the offensive linemen. And this may be one of the most best conditioned football teams you can find in college football.
Well, like the Dolphins, they train them this year-round.
Blitz. But no chance.
Greg Mark gets the sack. 5th sack for the Miami defense tonight. 55th of the season. In 12 games, a record total for Miami players.
If you look at this from behind the defense, you can see everyone is coming. Shannon from the outside, Mark from the inside, Hawkins is there, Maryland is there. They brought them all. Look at Carter, right? See, they consume everybody, and then they've got these people coming from the outside. Hawkins, not a big defensive end, but a good outside pass rusher, beats Sledge and gets the sack.
Season. Know when to say when. By Plymouth and the 9 most important words Plymouth knows. By Delta Airlines. We love to fly, and it shows. And by Burger King, where we do it like you do it.
Don Crickey with Bob Trumpy and Jim Gray at the 55th Orange Bowl. 12:46 to play in the game. Miami in the second half not getting the same results they did in the first half when everything went right. Interception, punt, interception. As right now, the Canes are set to go 1st and 10 at their 33-yard line, holding to a 17-point lead.
Walsh again with an audible, Don.
He changes plays as much as any quarterback in college football. He has that option as Cleveland Gary, who's been pretty well contained tonight by the Nebraska defense. makes the stop. Now let's go back down to the sideline. Jim?
Don, we're here with Tom Keller here. His son Dennis plays backup tight end for Miami. Tom's been an official in the NFL for 29 years. You were the replay official in the Fog Bowl. Tell us what happened there in Chicago. You were on the phone the whole half with Pete Rozelle.
Really, Jim, I didn't do too much of replay, and I was more a relay man. I was having a line with the sideline. They talked to me. I'd pass on information to Don White, and he was talking to the commissioner back in New York.
You ever seen anything like that in all your years?
Never in all my years, and I've been in some whoop-a-doo.
Let's go back upstairs. Trumpy says he never called a holding penalty on you.
Oh, don't you believe that?
Ball stands in, throws and makes the connection to Randy Bethel, and he is knocked down at the 40. Tom Kelleher, the replay official, so he didn't see anything either up in the box. I was waiting for the Hounds of the Baskervilles to come bounding out of that fog.
Looked like that game was played in Pennsylvania. Hicks that time on the tackle.
Eerie setting on Sunday on NBC Sports. The American Conference Championship game will be played at Riverfront Stadium, Cincinnati, Ohio. The Bengals and the Buffalo Bills. Their second meeting of the season. The winner to go to Super Bowl 23, also to be seen on NBC Sports January 22nd. It will be played just to the north of here in North Dade County at Joe Robbie Stadium.
Nebraska certainly showing blitz, but time expired on the 25-second clock.
Dead ball, illegal delay, offensive team.
And I think the one saving grace about tonight's performance by Nebraska has been, generally speaking, their defense. Charlie McBride, the defensive coordinator, and his team have played very, very well. I don't think anybody in the state of Nebraska or the coaching staff could have expected this offense through 3 quarters to produce just 3 points. And that came after a turnover, interception, and then it was 3 downs, and they tried for the field goal, a 50-yarder.
Coming into this game, the Nebraska D is coming off 2 of its best showings against 2 of the best teams in the Big 8. They beat Colorado 7-0, then beat Oklahoma 7-3. Pass in the flat. Is it caught? It appears to be. It looks like it'll go for a first down as Randall Hill celebrates his good work. Steve Walsh just broke Joe Namath's Orange Bowl record. That was his 38th pass attempt. They've almost been exclusively a passing team the last half of the season. They just completely gone away from the run, Miami.
See, this time Nebraska drops back. Walsh reads it correctly. You only need 1 foot down in bounds. Hill makes the catch. Or does he? That foot looks like it's out of bounds, but without the benefit or burden of replay, it goes as a catch.
Gary gets the ball, and he's ahead for a first down. Big bruising Cleveland Gary. 6'2", 225. Who rushed for over 500 yards and caught 57 passes.
There's the numbers for his new record. Who did you say his record he broke? Joe Namath?
Steve Walsh did for most Orange Bowl attempts.
Lasik that time on the tackle.
Passing yardage record. Going for bonus as Leonard Connolly runs the ball down to the 37-yard line. Mike Crowell knocked him down along with Randall Jobman as Coach Osborne has had some of his backup backers in. We have 9:55 to play. The clock is running in the 4th quarter at the 1989 Orange Bowl in Miami. Don Crickey with Bob Trumpy and Jim Gray as the Nebraska Cornhuskers coming in as a 1-touchdown underdog. Their first Orange Bowl appearance in 5 years since they were beaten that night of January 1, 1984 in a national championship game. In Miami, different time, different players. That night, Miami prevailed by a single point to beat one of the best college football teams ever, the '83 Nebraska team.
Don, I think we just saw a promo there for Johnny Carson and David Letterman. Did Johnny Carson go to Nebraska?
He did. Phi Gamma Delta. They're very proud of him.
Yeah. David Letterman went to Ball State, Indiana, so he's not celebrating or lamenting any win or loss on Bowl Day. Down considerably.
I believe Johnny Carson just made a $500,000 contribution to a scholarship fund or something like that. 3rd down and 10 comes up. Over the middle throw, and it's caught by Leonard Connolly. And he's down to the 23-yard line.
Leonard Hicks was right next to him. 18-yard pickup. Conley has had a big night tonight. He's made some key catches in those 2 touchdown receptions. Again, Nebraska coming with the blitz. Watch where this is. I'm telling you, Hicks is right there. Conley somehow makes the tackle. Conley makes the reception, and Blazek on the tackle. And again, Miami driving exclusively through the pass.
And the pass has taken them down to the 23-yard line, where it's 1st and 10. Here's Conley looking for room to run, and he finds some. Not big enough to run interference for himself. He's got a dart and dash, wait for the opening, and then sprint through it. Bernie Kosar, a close friend of Steve Walsh, and Walsh was saying it's Kosar is going to have a lot to say in his decision whether or not he'll turn pro after this season, whether Steve Walsh will.
There's the numbers right now. I'd imagine the only thing he doesn't like is the interceptions.
Picked off 3 times, twice by cornerback Charles Fryer. Garcia down over the ball at center. Sullivan and Handy the guards. Timing throw, end zone. Dawkins, and he loses the ball at the 1-yard line.
Perfectly thrown.
Dale Dawkins on a timing pattern, trying to run off to that high lofted ball.
Hahn Lewis was the man in coverage, number 5 for Nebraska. Quick 3-step drop. 1, 2, 3, put it up, and you get nailed. But it was Lawrence Pete who got down to his legs. I think this is catchable. He let it get to him. That ball is catchable. That was perfectly thrown. This is the 11th play of the drive coming up here. Excuse me, 10th play of the drive coming up here. First time we've had a 10-play drive this evening.
It is. 3rd down comes up now. Flat pass. And there's going to be markers down as we had 2 defenders hit the receiver. Cleveland Gary.
Hahn Lewis was the closest man. Very slow in getting up, but I'm not sure I blame him, being the leading rusher and receiver and touchdown scorer. He never walks off the field.
Ball was touched behind the line of scrimmage. Not half pass interference. When the pass is touched behind the line of scrimmage.
I didn't see the ball tip.
We got a hip pointer.
I did not see the ball tip. Let's see if we can see this ball hit. Walsh, when he threw, doesn't touch anybody. Doesn't touch anybody, but the officiating crew has done an excellent job tonight. There's no question about that. The gentleman out of the Southeast Conference. So Huerta in for a field goal attempt.
And they're dedicating this performance, as you know, Trump, to Richard Long of Athens, Georgia, who was for 20 years a fellow official in the Southeastern Conference. He passed away today, Richard Long. Huerta hits the field goal. It is up and good. And they get 23-3.
When this penalty was called, Jimmy Johnson, even though he was leading 20-3, still upset at the call. Nevertheless, 3 points, 23-3.
Coming on video for crime. The cops.
Deal with CIA. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to an attorney.
Last call. There's no question, as Jim Gray said, he told his team at halftime he wants a shutout. He wants to win big and send a message. He claims he has the best team in the country, but Notre Dame is in position to be voted the national championship.
I would certainly think that Miami and Notre Dame, or Notre Dame and Miami, would certainly be the preseason #1 team for next year. No question about that. 1 and 2. Probably Notre Dame #1 with the manner in which they won today, but Jimmy Johnson is always sending a message to someone.
Yeah, running the ball back is Richard Bell as he takes it up the sideline and gets it across the 30. I think Notre Dame's going to have the best team they've ever had, including Rocky, Leahy, and anybody else that's ever coached ever.
Well, Jimmy Johnson.
Look what they have coming back, and some of their best players didn't play this season. 2 guys were hurt.
Jimmy Johnson said that he didn't expect this team to be 10-1 in 1988. He thought it'd be 8-3, 9-2, and feels that next year, with or without Steve Walsh.
17 guys off the Miami team of last year signed pro contracts. 12 were drafted.
5 signed. 9 are still on NFL roster. But they're still blitzing him. They're still coming after him, Don.
Ken Clark and Rod Carter connect there as Clark carried and Carter hit. It's interesting, the last regular season game for Notre Dame and Miami next season is Notre Dame against Miami here in the Orange Bowl.
Miami and Notre Dame have had some real hustles, have they not, in the last 2 or 3 years?
Well, it's been utter destruction and devastation usually. In the recent years, Miami routing Notre Dame, the Faust teams. Before that, Notre Dame used to blow apart Miami.
So did everybody else.
They almost gave up the program.
Absolutely. Steve Taylor, that time on the run, I don't know how many people are aware of this, but the guy who was really almost single-handedly given the credit for turning this program around is not Howard Schnellenberger, it's Lou Saban. He's the guy who recruited Jim Kelly out of the Pennsylvania area, as Nebraska's going with a hurry-up offense.
With 6:43 to play, trailing 23-3. Steve Taylor with the drop. Here comes Hawkins, who levels him. He does get the ball away, makes a connection for a gain of about 5 yards. Those were blood yards for Steve Taylor, as he is just getting wiped out once he releases the ball.
Richard Bell on the
hit by Hawkins
on the catch, and Nebraska now on the last page of the offensive playbook, going with the hurry-up offense with 6:16 to go in the game.
2nd and 5. Greg Mark running down. No intentional grounding, and Mark takes him down even though he released the ball. A late hit, no flag. And Taylor is slow getting up.
I think the referee is going over to his people to see if in fact they're not going to call anything. They're not going to call anything.
Boy, Johnson wants a big score bad, doesn't he?
Look at the foot speed of Greg Mark here, though. He beats Glazer 70. Taylor can't get away from him. And then he continues to wrestle him to the ground.
End around and breaking into the open field is Richard Bell, and he's knocked down at the 40-yard line. A first down play on a 3rd and 5. Richard Bell gains 14 yards.
And again, they go right to the line of scrimmage. Now, how often do people in Nebraska ever see the Cornhuskers in this situation? I'm sure it's been years.
Out pattern, a connection is made, and coming down to make the reception for the Cornhuskers of Nebraska is Chip Bay.
We got 2nd, 3rd, and 4th teamers in there. Those are the Blades brothers.
Benny and Brian. They had a couple of great seasons. Brian with the Seahawks and Benny with the Lions.
Flag down.
Dana Brinson was the receiver on the play with 5:37 to play.
Oh, Johnson's really lobbying. He's working that official. Throw the flag. They're holding my guys.
Illegal shift, offensive backfield, 5 yards.
Look at
it. Who's losing this game?
Yeah, someone point him in the direction of the scoreboard. Jimmy, 23-3. Nebraska, and Notre Dame already won the national title. And Osborne always looks calm, even though he's down 23-3.
Drive for Nebraska. They did not have any of those in the first half. This is the 7th play. Out pattern and diving for the ball and making the reception is Jamie Warden, number 31. Game clock ticking down. 5:10 to go in this 55th Orange Bowl. 2nd down and 9 comes up for the Cornhuskers of Nebraska.
Hawkins got him.
Hawkins gets the QB, Steve Taylor, just as his arm came forward.
Morgan Gregory was the intended receiver. Taylor has gotten up off this Orange Bowl turf an awful lot tonight. Watch Hawkins right between the shoulder blades. They have been all over Steve Taylor. Very little pass protection tonight.
Steve Taylor was born in Fresno, played at Lincoln High School in San Diego. He broke all of Marcus Allen's quarterbacking records. Marcus Allen was a terrific quarterback in high school.
6th sack of the night for Miami. And Steve Taylor's not going to forget this game, and Jimmy Johnson is...
Jimmy Johnson was in this exercise last year in the national championship game.
Don, I think you're right. He does not want Nebraska to score a touchdown. Nebraska takes a timeout, called his entire defense over there. 4th down and 14. Look at it. He's in there. He's got them all there. Whatever he's telling them. He does not want Tom Osborne and Nebraska to score a touchdown, and this is the stuff that I think pretty much passes the legend of Jimmy Johnson around the country. He's a terrific coach. He's a great guy to be around. But I think when people see that on television, their image of Jimmy Johnson is not an image that most coaches want to have. I don't think Jimmy Johnson cares what other people think, but I think a lot of people think that at times he's a used car salesman. I don't think that. I think he's earned that championship ring that he's got on.
Well, he's 51-9 as a head coach here at Miami. That's what they brought him in for. Not to win friends, to win ball games. He's done that. Miami. Wrong ball, wrong side, though, as the rush was on again.
Yep. Miami comes with the blitz. It was intended for Morgan Gregory. Johnson comes with the blitz. That's what he wanted. There's a terrific coach. I'm not joking. What this guy has done with this program and the players that he's gotten down here and the manner in which he's...
Well, it was a good program when he came in. They won a national championship the year he came in. January 2nd, 1989, and the 55th Orange Bowl, now with 4:29 left to play in it. And the Miami Hurricanes leading 23-3 to the dismay of the winning coach, Jimmy Johnson. That's not enough. Too much is not enough for Coach Johnson.
Well, unfortunately, I think Jimmy brings a lot of this on himself. You can't find a number or a stat anywhere in the Miami program that says that Jimmy Johnson is not a good coach and can't compete against big-name teams, against ranked teams. His teams are extraordinary. Look at that. And against unranked teams, his teams are prepared every single time. But the gross impression of Jimmy Johnson is that he lobbies too much. He says too much. He's always pleading his case. And then not really pouring it on here, but not certainly letting up here, leaves a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths.
Second down and 8. Let's see what he has Wells doing. He's going to keep firing late in the game with a 20-point lead. Long ball to Randall Hill, and it's knocked away. Back to Han Lewis.
Now, is that unbelievable?
And he wants more.
And you don't hear anybody in this stadium complaining.
He's turned it into a house of winners, as we were pointing out earlier. This program was almost gone. They were ready to bring it under. That was before Schnellenberger, actually, when Lou Saban was here.
Absolutely. He recruited Jim Kelly, and that started this string of great quarterbacks. They've all turned out to be first-round draft choices, and I think even with Testaverde's bad season this year, they're all going to be great contributors in the NFL.
Testaverde's going to have a lot of good ones. Fred Highsmith.
He gets the first down.
Willie Griffin makes the knockdown. Programs are built to win, too. Most of Miami's players are redshirts, virtually all of them. In fact, there was big news. They were pointing out that Charles Farms, their starting free safety, is the first true freshman to start for Miami in 4 years.
Don, that basically is the way that major college football is played, with the exception of Notre Dame. I think they're the only major college team that I know of that unless you are truly injured, you don't redshirt.
First and 10 with 3:10 to go as Walsh takes a drop, quick out pattern. He makes the connection. Huey Smith comes down with the ball.
I'll tell you another interesting thing about Nebraska's program. Nebraska's program, as you look at the Miami Hurricane quarterbacks that have come through here, Kelly, Kosar, Testaverde, and now Walsh, you can look at those numbers and they're shocking. Nebraska has a freshman football program. There are a bunch of walk-ons in a lot of instances. They play 5 games a year. They have their own coaches, their own equipment, their own locker room, their own trainers, everything. Completely separate from the varsity program. As Erickson's now in for the Hurricanes. And that's one of the reasons why I think Nebraska is year in and year out such a strong program. They begin learning and playing a lot as freshmen.
Well, the pride in the program in the state's unbelievable in Nebraska's football program. And with reason, as pointed out, for 19 straight years, they finished every season for 19 straight years ranked in the top 10.
And, of course,
this is going to take them on they're going to be on the bubble after this one.
Yes. The other thing is a third of this Nebraska program are walk-ons. They almost survive on walk-ons because it's a state school.
Well, you're limited to 95 scholarships now. You can't give out 50.
Yeah, but they got
a year.
They got 135 or 40 guys dressed over there on the sideline. I mean, a lot of them are walk-ons. Mike Crowell that time makes the tackle.
Duff 2 tonight from Steve Walsh. Now Craig Erickson, a very highly regarded redshirt sophomore from West Palm Beach, is in the game quarterbacking the Hurricanes. Steve Walsh is out. Erickson, he was throwing with under 3 minutes to play in the game. Following local news, The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, then late night with David Letterman, then later with Bob Costas. All tonight on NBC. As we have 2:43 left to play, there's Steve Walsh. And there's a lot of speculation, as pointed out earlier. Would this be his final game for the Hurricanes? Will he indeed elect to go to the NFL draft, graduating in May, which he's in position to do? Handoff goes on an end around to Dale Dawkins, who runs it inside the 30 and down to the 28-yard line.
Etienne makes the tackle, and this Erickson kid is no real drop-off from Steve Walsh. There was some feeling at the beginning of the season that Erickson was going to be the starter. Walsh had a great spring and off of his Orange Bowl performance last year, and basically his performance of last season, Jimmy Johnson stayed with him, but Erickson has completed 54% of his passes, 6 touchdowns and 1 interception. He's the backup quarterback, has a stronger arm than Steve Walsh.
When you look at Walsh, you look at one number, 23 and 1, 2 numbers. It's his starting record, the starting quarterback. It's the 25th game. Only been beaten once. 1:57 to go in the game now. 23-3 is the score, Miami.
And that one loss was to the 1988 NCAA Division I football champion in South Bend. By the way, as a graduate of Notre Dame 1964, I know this was a big day for you, son. Congratulations.
Well, they've been a while, but you got to salute him. Parsegan said when he retired, I asked him what he's most proud of. He said, we won and we never cheated. Folks can say the same thing. Swing pass goes to Highsmith, who gets inside the 20 and down to the 18-yard line.
DeHaan Lewis on the tackle. One other note about Nebraska, and we pretty much beat them to death here tonight, and I apologize for that, but they just haven't played. Tough to find something to compliment. They've lost 2 games this year. Both have been on grass. The Big 8 is all AstroTurf. I wonder if it has an effect on this football team. They started slow against UCLA. They started slow tonight. I don't know what it is.
1:17 to go. Pitch back goes to Highsmith, who runs it inside to the 15-yard line. We're talking about Johnson running up the score, but it should also, as you pointed out earlier, Trump, the academics of the Miami football program have skyrocketed since he came in. These players are now graduating, which they weren't doing under previous coaching administrations. And the academics have gone way up. Walsh is a Dean's List student. And now the Budweiser outstanding players of tonight's game in the Orange Bowl are from Miami of Florida quarterback Steve Walsh. And from the Cornhuskers of Nebraska, cornerback Charles Fryer. Anheuser-Busch will donate $1,000 in the name of each MVP to SAD, Students Against Drunk Driving. End zone throw. As Miami's looking for more, even with Erickson.
Dawkins misses. Now, I think the only real drama left in his football game is Tom Osborne going to be offended?
What do you think he'll be? I think he'd be very upset.
Well, then there's generally a handshake at the end of this game.
We'll track that every step of the way. Well, procession across the field.
But this is unhealthy. This is not right. This is not good. This offends a great many people, and there's no reason for Jimmy Johnson to offend them. Tom Osborne has admitted it. I learned a lot from Miami back in '83 because we got better foot speed. You may also learn something from Miami tonight.
They'll play again. That's one thing. There's always another game. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Michael Weissman. The coordinating producer of NBC Football is Ted Nathanson. The telecast of tonight's game has been produced by George Finkel, directed by John Gonzalez. Championship Monday produced by Tom Roy, directed by Bucky Guntz. Replay producer David Hoffman. Technical directors Lenny Stucker and Richard Sansevier. And a reminder, on the West Coast following this game, stay tuned for local news. Now, thanks to NBC statistician Elliot Kalb, as we come down the stretch now. 23 seconds left to go, and Miami, in 3 years under Jimmy Johnson, the last 3 years, has the best record in football.
Absolutely. And he may have taken some
Any
of this,
league.
And he may have taken some of this thing out here, because on 4th down, they went for it, and now Nebraska has the football, so at least there was that little bit of saving grace. I just hate to see Jimmy Johnson do this, especially a year after he wins the national championship, and uh-oh, here comes the Gatorade. He got baptized last year, and it got him a national championship ring. They're hiding
They should have got him earlier to cool him off. The coach needs some icing down.
Yes, I agree with you.
Thanks to our spotters, Ken Lee and Chris Boma, to Don the Fox Bryant, SID for Nebraska, Larry Wall and Rich Dalrymple of Miami. Drop back throw as Steve Taylor takes a look, runs out of trouble. Here comes more, though. Clark is closing in, and Taylor wisely bails out with just 14 seconds to play. He wants that ball back, Coach Johnson.
Time for one more shot at it. That's all we wanted. One more shot at it. You can see on that, there's Tom Osborne.
It's been a tough 5 years. He's had a lot of wins, as Nebraska does every year, but that defeat that cost his team a national championship in '84 lingers on, and he hopes to get some measure of avenging that loss tonight. Not the case. Never in it. Rolling out, running with the ball is Jerry Godowski, the backup quarterback, and 8 seconds remain in the 1989 Orange Bowl. Our thanks to the Orange Bowl Committee, to President Jim Barker, President-elect Tom Woods, and all the people who make this a real football celebration in South Florida. I'll tell you this about Miami. I don't know if you've heard about it, but it is a great place to come and visit if you're coming. It is a great place to bring your family.
You're right.
We've been doing it for 10 years.
51 weeks a year, we hear nothing but bad about Miami, and we come the 52nd week, and it erases all the bad things, and we leave with a great impression.
Hope to be talking to Jimmy Johnson after the game. Downfield throw and an interception. Nicely done by Charles Farms.
Oh, they got him. They got him. He runs out on the field, but they got him.
Here comes Coach Johnson. Out quickly to center field. Coach Osborne, under guard, is apparently searching him out to shake his hand. News of the two coaches started swinging after the game. Not the case. Coach Osborne in defeat, gentlemen, and he shakes the hand of the victor, Jimmy Johnson. Here's Jim Gray. Jim?
Thank you, Don. Coach, who's #1 in your opinion?
Well, I have a feeling that we gave Notre Dame #1 when we didn't kick the extra point back in mid-season. I think there may be a difference of opinion as far as who the best football team in the country is.
How badly did you want this shutout? You told me...
The following movie is rated PG-13.